hit subscribe. Subscribe to my guy, Uncle D. Tell him Big Bass sent you.
Dennis Sterling. I'm an attorney here in Houston, Texas, an advocate for black men, largely because I am a black man. I'm a black father, I have black sons. Hey man, I do what I do.
What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome back to the broadcast. My name is Dennis Sperling. I'm a podcaster. I'm an attorney. I'm a father. I'm a lot of things. But for the most part, my main occupation is being an advocate for black men. Now, because of the racial climate that we're living in, I have taken it upon myself to begin to expound on issues that black American people in general have had to deal with here in the United States. And what that's done is basically I'm putting our case on, you see. I'm basically letting everybody who's watching me, everybody who follows my page, my different YouTube pages and Facebook pages, etc. I'm letting them know, hey, you know, we have a voice too. And so I'm not just limiting it to being an advocate for black men, but for all my foundational black American family, because, you know, fundamentally, there is no black community. There is no FBA community. And when I say FBA, to me, those terms are synonymous with American Negro, freedmen, even though there were black people who were in this country prior to even the inception of slavery. We know that because of the travels of West Africans, and we know that about just from the tales of many indigenous people. So, you know, I like the new term foundational black American. I'm not the author of that term, but I've incorporated. I think it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. And so that's why I use it. Nevertheless, I want to just shout out to Broken Blade, shout out to all my guys, Black Wall Street, everybody who's been here for years. Big up to all you fellas. I'm still keeping it true to the game. Still Uncle D, also known as the Blizzard King. As y'all see, I got that fresh fade. Uncle D with the fresh fade. Had to go to court this week, so I had to look sharp. But family, somebody type me no black in the chat room. Somebody type me no black in the chat room. This is a phrase made famous by many a Dominican individual when asked whether or not they're black. And when we understand what they mean when they say they're not black, what they're really trying to do is delineate from black Americans. Okay. They are trying to separate themselves from black Americans. And we get that. Somebody type me no black in the chat room. Okay. Here's the thing. As of late, there's been a lot of people who could be black. They look black to me, who've decided that they probably do want to be black, and not necessarily because they've all of a sudden came to the conclusion that they love black American people. Matter of fact, many of them go a long way to try to separate themselves from black people. But what's going on is the American government, through Donald Trump and his administration, have turned up the heat significantly on African immigrants and Caribbean immigrants. But today we're going to talk about Somalian immigrants. Shout out to Red Dragon K6R Mino Black. Somebody type Mino Black in the chat room, and somebody else type work harder in the chat room. I want to see a lot of work harder and Mino Black in the chat room. Okay, I want to see that, because these are the things that our African and Caribbean brothers and sisters have reminded us so much. And I'm going to take you through a brief history and an accounting of the things that we tried to tell them, but that they did not listen to. But first, let's go ahead and set the stage. I want you to hear what the current president, 47, Donald Trump, some of you voted for him, some of you did not. I want you to hear what Donald Trump has had to say recently about the Somalians in particular. He has literally singled out the Somalian people in Minnesota. Listen.
Country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. You know, our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point. I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Damn.
Ilan Omar is garbage.
Lord.
She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said, this isn't paradise.
Somebody just typed "damn" in the chat room. This is not a hot mic, something he's saying that he didn't think the world would hit. This was said at a press conference. This is the leader of the free world, the most powerful man in the world, saying that their country, they stink, they're garbage, their country stinks, and we don't want them here. That's what the president of the United States is saying about these Somalian folks, okay, who have said on numerous occasions that me no black, okay, me no black. Don't forget the me no black, okay, because I want you Somalian folk, I want you all to hear yourselves. I'm gonna put it up there for you to see, but you know, before you all feel sorry for these African people, understand that they have purposely gone out of their way to say they do not identify as black, at least here in the United States. I'm going to let the president finish, and then we'll proceed.
But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Damn. That's not a dog whistle. Okay, that's a straight up siren right there. You understand me? That is a straight up. I mean, you can't not hear that. Okay. I've never in my lifetime heard a modern day president speak like that. Okay. And I want to begin by laying out the facts for posterity. This is not headlines, no spin, no partisan talking points. Okay. What you heard were the outlandish statements and positions made by our president. Okay. President Donald Trump, whether you like it or not, he is your president also, concerning Somali immigrants. Okay, not foundational black Americans. Okay, not Trinidadians, not Jamaicans, not Nigerians, not Ghanaians. He specifically singled out Somalians. Okay, in the state of Minnesota. And he also talked about Congresswoman Ilan Omar. Okay, now the first thing we need to do is be honest. Okay, what about what he said and who it was directed to? All right, let's go back to what he said. Donald Trump said Somali immigrants are garbage. It wasn't accidental. It wasn't isolated. He went further, and he said the country itself, the whole country. And if you look at the thumbnail, the whole country on the right side of Ethiopia, the whole country stinks. He said it stinks. He also went on to say it's a place where people are walking around unaliving each other. Those are his exact words. That's not my interpretation. That's not an Uncle D ghetto interpretation. That he didn't need an anger interpreter. Okay, he said it. He said the Somali immigrants ripped off Minnesota for billions of dollars and accused the whole community, every last one of them, of fraud and dependency, meaning welfare scamming, these Somalian immigrants, their children are disproportionately diagnosed with autism because they're trying to get a check. Now, when I was young, and I know this is inappropriate, but I'm gonna show my age. When I was young, when a child received a check because they had a mental disability, they were slow, they rode the short bus to school, we call it a crazy check, okay? Somebody type crazy check in the chat room. I apologize if I offended anyone. Mentally challenged, I understand, but we refer to it as a crazy check. Basically, these Somalians are disproportionately, their children are disproportionately being diagnosed with autism, and that gives them money for a crazy check. And they're taking that money, and apparently, allegedly, they're taking that money and they're sending it back to Somalia to some bad people. Okay, that's what they're doing, and he calls that corrupt. Trump didn't distinguish between the Somalians that are U.S. citizens, the lawful residents, the refugees, or the what we call illegal aliens or undocumented. He blamed all of them collectively for this alleged conduct. And he didn't stop there. He told the Somalian immigrants he did not want, he said we, he didn't say he said we did not want them in this country. He spoke for everybody, okay? And he said they should go back to where they came from. Damn. Woo. Look, he even went so far as to chastise, and I'm gonna use the word chastise because I'm trying to be politically correct. He chastised Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, and who is herself a U.S. citizen but born in Somalia. Trump stated that she shouldn't even be allowed to stay in Congress, and he suggested that she and others like her should be thrown the hell out of our country. Okay, this is what he said. You no more crazy checks, no more welfare. You're getting the hell out of here. Again, family, this is not a metaphor. This is not an academic debate. Okay. This is what he said. This is his rhetoric advocating the removal from political life and the country a sitting congressman. Look, it's not over. Trump announced he would be authorizing aggressive immigration enforcement actions in Minnesota. All right. This state, if you all don't know, it has the largest Somali population in the United States for the most part. He publicly praised ICE, which is also known as the U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement. They do have a phone number. Somebody put the ICE phone number in the chat room. I believe they're still offering $700 per report. Someone please, mods, please put the ICE phone number in the chat room. Let's do that. And then what was his whole point of this? He said the actions that he said their actions as far as ICE would be feeding our future, okay, of our future fraud investigations. And he repeatedly used this to justify the crackdowns on the Somali immigrants. And it is real out here in the field. And he also said they're revoking, he said they're revoking TPS, which temporary protected status, because he said temporary means just that, temporary, and some of these folks been here for years. Okay. Now, again, let me recap. He called the entire community garbage. He said they destroyed Minnesota. And he said ICE is coming to crack down heavy. All right. Now, these are not, as I said earlier, these are not racist dog whistles. These are racist air horns. And what you see now, what we've all witnessed over the past few months, is that the ICE agents, they have a daily quota. They got to catch a certain amount of bodies every day. Okay. So when ICE hits the town, whether we're talking about Chicago or New Orleans or Memphis, once they identify a location where they can pick up the most bodies, they gravitate to those venues. They have one job to meet their quotas. I think it was up to like 3,000 a day. So they sweep up bodies. They don't care if you're legal. They'll just pass everyone along for the system to figure it out. So if you're legal and you get swept up at some point, you're in Minnesota down the line, few days, week later, hopefully you'll be able to go home. Hopefully it'll be a mere inconvenience. I know you missed work, you missed school, you missed some doctor's appointments. Your family had to figure out things on their own. They trying to locate you. They're trying to arrange legal representation, trying to find your documents and pay bills and take care of your kids. Okay, because you've been wrongfully detained. But again, ICE agents, they don't care. They're out here, you know, they're out of it. As soon as they drop you off at the detention center, they go right back for some more. Okay, and yeah, if you're legal, you have nothing to worry about at all. But anyway, these Somalians are being sent back to Africa. Now, here's the thing. I want you know, they expected black. Where my foundational black? I need y'all to come to the front of all my black people. And remember, family, if you learn something, you should earn. I should earn something. But where all my black people? I want all the black Americans to come to the front of the room, and I want you to type in "me no black." Okay, me no black. Type the "me no black" in the chat room. Because this is what they said to us. They told us to work harder. They told us to stop being victims. But again, they said me no black. And yet these same people, right, that said they're not black are now having to deal with the fact that they're getting treated like what? Like the N-word. That's what they're getting treated like. They're getting treated like N-words. Now, let's take a look at some of the footage of these folks telling us on numerous occasions that they're not black. All right, let's look at this fella.
Fam, do we fucking look black? Do I look black to you, like, bro? Not.
You look black as hell. Okay, sir. You look like you have a Jerry curl. Okay, and it's 1987. Okay, and Michael Jackson is hot. Okay, and you have a Jerry curl that's a little dry because you've been sleeping on the pillow, so you went ahead and put them in some twisty braids. You Jerry curl black. All right.
Somalians.
Right. I'll give a bonus point to anybody in the chat room that can spell Jerry curl correctly. Okay. All right. This is Jerry curl. You're black. I know you don't. I'm gonna let them finish. I know I'm not supposed to interrupt. I know I told you all that I will not interrupt. Okay. I know but so what? Okay. I'm gonna interrupt some of these people. I'm gonna try not to talk over. Okay. But let's let Jerry Curl Black speak. Go ahead, sir.
Not black. Stop calling us black, fam. Do we fucking look black?
Yes.
Do I look black to you, like, bro?
Yes, you look black as hell.
Not black, fam. Man, Somali, bro.
You black as hell.
Get me, black.
No, you black.
Bro.
Your ass
Somalis.
You black, sir. You black. Okay. I know you don't want to seem, you don't want to be black, but you black, whether you like it or not. I'm gonna let some people finish. I'm sorry.
Tweet today talking about.
I'm gonna let her come back in a minute. Is he black? Does he look black to you? You look so black. Somebody's soul glow. He is very black. You are very black. Now let's look at some more people. Tell us they're not.
If you're gonna let the white man tell you you're black and accept it, that's perfectly fine. That's your choice, right? You can run with the identity and say, "Oh yeah, I'm black."
You a big forehead, nappy head black. Okay, it looked like you got a high top fade that went bad. Looked like the barber pushed your hairline back too far. You got one of them old barbers with the little barber coat on. Okay, that the parents send their children to. Okay, where you had to sit in that little seat, you know, that little wood board where they put you in the seat. It looked like he wasn't looking. He grabbed your head like this. Okay, he grabbed your head like that. And you know they're old when they grab your head like that. He put that raise, and your mama said, "Don't put raise on my baby." You are big forehead, push back, hairline black. Okay, that's what you are. But you are black too, sir. You are smoking Newports on the corner in a lawn chair black. Okay, next to the liquor store.
I'm black.
Go ahead.
I'm black. Cool, but when you see a motherfucker that tells you,
sir, you don't even say, sir. first of all, don't try to use our Black American words because you didn't even pronounce MF right. That's disrespectful. That's like putting thyme in your fried chicken. Okay, that's like cooking greens out the can and then throwing some salt turkey in it instead of that salt pork. If you're gonna do it right. Okay, sir. Don't use our stuff. Respectfully, sir.
I'm no black.
You black.
I'm Somali.
No, you black as hell.
Don't be mad at us.
I ain't mad at you.
Because I know who I am.
Black.
Feel me? Don't be mad at me because I know
black.
who my great father is.
Oh, you want to throw shots at us? Oh, you know who your great grandfather. So what you trying to say? Oh, you slaves don't know who your great. I'd happen to know who my great grandfather was. His name was George Washington Jones Sr., and he was an attorney. Graduated from HBCU in Mississippi, and then went on to help found Nicodemus, Kansas. Respectfully, sir. But you see that they throw shots. You've been throwing shots at Black Americans. Telling I know who my great. I bet your mama could tell you different. I bet your grandma don't know who your her baby daddy was. But anyway, I'm gonna let you go ahead.
And I can name them by name. So that means I know my identity. I know who I am. I know my lineage. I know my.
And they were black too. You black and they were black too. Respectfully, okay, ethnicity. Sir.
So why would I say I'm black?
You black?
Yeah, like my skin color got melanin, but melanin is not black. Melanin is like a thing that.
Asians have melanin in their skin color, and so do Arabs. You are black, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Helps you survive the sun. So it's like, tell me, that's this black identity thing. Like that's a white man literally trying to brainwash you, and y'all fighting
white
us
man
for
is
that.
doing. No, it's the white. Look, black people are telling you black. Okay, black people are telling you black over here in America. You are black. Okay, you can be whatever you want in your own country where everybody is black. You can divide yourselves up by tribe. That's a luxury of living in a black dominated country. Here in America, where we are surrounded and we are a small percentage of the population, you and your black ass is black, sir.
Crazy.
All right. Crazy. All right. No, they're gone. Somebody put the ICE phone number back up, please. Somebody put the ICE hotline back up, okay? Because this is what we're dealing with out here. This is what we out here dealing with, and it needs to be dealt with. Let's look at this. Let's see what else we got.
Not black. Let me explain why. Looking at me right now, chat. Am I black?
No,
I'm literally brown. I'm literally brown.
No.
Think about it as well. Somali.
No, Playboy, you fat black. Okay, you fat black. Somebody type fat black in the chat room. You black. You fat Afro black. You look just like one of the Fat Albert kids, a show that used to come on in the 70s. You are fat black, sir. Where somebody can somebody give where's the mirror for that? Matter of fact, you fat stud black. Somebody Somali stud. That's right. You a Somali stud, fat Somali stud black. That's what you are. Okay, somebody say jail jumpsuit black. Shout out to Wayne London. I don't know why y'all started with me today. Okay, I don't know why you started with me. I'm gonna let him finish. I'm gonna let Jailhouse Black finish.
Are Arabs. We're in the Arab leagues. We speak the Arab language. We eat the Arab food. Bro, think about it like this, bro. If a whole community.
If he said we eat Arab food, so we Arab. Okay, so I'm just saying. If a monkey eats a eucalyptus leaf, is he a koala bear? I'm just asking. I'm just asking. If a pit bull eats a carrot, is he a rabbit? Probably not. As Malcolm X said, if you put a puppy in the oven, is it a biscuit? No, it's not, sir. No, it's not. You black as hell. Matter of fact, you blacker than me. All right, I'm black in America, and you blacker than I am. Now, I see you over in Great Britain. You're black. Why do we have to have these conversations? This pizza eating, fried biscuit, Somali black young man, right, is confused.
Doesn't regard themselves as black.
with your man breasts.
We literally can't be black, bro. Boogie, did you eat your brain cells? Really and truly, Somalis.
How can this man not see he's black? Let me put him big on the screen. Does he not see? Do y'all look? I'm gonna just look at it. All you need, look, man. We need look. Can he not see that he is black? And Somalia is in Africa, next to Ethiopia, above the Sudan. You don't think you black? We're gonna call look.
Arabs, bro. Think about it, bro. We're in the Arab leagues. We speak the Arab language, bro. Tell me I'm not lying, bro.
I speak English, but I'm not English. I'm not a Briton, am I? No. Sorry, you folk are just, but I want y'all to keep hearing what these people are saying. I want you to listen to what they're saying.
Considered black. I'm sorry to be the one that sparks this debate, but it has to be done. I used to be of the opinion back in the day that, of course, we're black. Somalis, look at us.
Yeah, of course. Look at you black as hell. Look at that Jerry curl. All these people have the Jerry curl. I mean, where can I get y'all? We need to send a truckload of Stay Soft Fro to Minnetonka. I believe we need to call Afro Sheen and see if we can cash in all our coupons, and we need to make sure all of these curls are activated, okay? Because these folk clearly are not getting the signals that they're supposed to get. Sir, you have a Jerry curl. You have a Jerry curl and you're black. You would fit right in the Nickerson Garden projects on the east side of LA in 1986. You would be coming out the house with rollers in your hair and some Kroger sacks and a white t-shirt and some Dickie pants on. Sorry. You would fit right in. Okay, you black. I'm gonna let you finish talking.
Skin tone. But as the years went on, my opinion started to change. If you're asking,
opinion started to change because they was calling you black and they thought you was foolish. I didn't say you're not black. You can be Somalian. You can be Somalian all you want to be. That is your nationality. But when it comes to your ethnicity, sir, you are clearly of the Negro persuasion, sir. Respectfully, I'm gonna let you finish.
Asking, are Somali skin tone black? Then of course, yes, our skin tone is. But then I realized as the years went on,
and you got some big teeth too. You big teeth black.
It's nothing to do with skin tone, because even people who are considered black come in different shades of black.
Blackness has nothing to do with your skin tone.
Oh Lord.
Let me repeat, blackness has nothing to do with your skin tone.
Okay.
This is why people like us say Somalians, even though we are related, genetically we are related in some type of way. But no, Somalians are not black. In order to even understand black and how that was placed on people, you have
placed on people, sir. The river that you are standing in is called denial. And you are ass deep in denial right now. You are black. All of you all are black.
You have to understand how the Europeans even came to America. And you have to understand the Roman Church, the devil, and who they labeled as the devil, and why black is associated with evil.
They don't want to be black so bad. These folk do not want to be black. They don't want to be associated with the United States. They don't want to be associated with Black Americans until it's time to steal some of our culture or get some scholarships and set-asides, or when the heat get turned up. You see what I mean? Then they want to be black. All right, let me let this. I got somebody else I want you to see. The most famous Somalian, aside from Elian Omar, that we all know. Okay, somebody type "brick lady" in the chat room.
Oh no, we're not black.
Well, you all know this lady right here, right? She's black, and the reason she says she's black because she's realized, having lived here in Houston, that she reaps benefits from saying she's black. Because you can't be around, you got to pick a side here in the great state of Texas. You all know Brick Lady. Brick Lady went on the internet a few years back, decided that she was going to basically throw all black men under the bus because we don't protect black women. Now, again, this lady used her blackness, right, to undermine the relationships that exist between Black Americans here in the United States. This is what you're bringing. So along with the welfare fraud and scammy behavior that Donald Trump was referring to in his broadcast, we also have folks like this who are bringing negativity into the Black community. Not that we don't have it already, but this is what she's doing.
Does claim her Blackness. I want to explain this with love, because that statement comes from history, survival, and sometimes pain. First, Somalia isn't a part of the Western world. In Somalia, a deeply homogenous community, there's no reason to say you're Black. Everyone looks like you.
Basically, what the young lady is saying is that everybody's Black, so there's no need to, you don't have the luxury, or you do have the luxury of separating yourself into different tribes and ethnicities, but we don't have that luxury here in the United States. We are surrounded. Let's keep listening to the little lady.
For example, like Nigeria, people identify by tribe or nation, not race. Race, as a qualifier especially, only becomes relevant to most Africans when they leave their country and step into a world that sees them through that lens. During colonization, Europeans didn't just divide our land. They divided our identities. Somalia.
So is the Europeans' fault that you're Black? Is that what you're saying? Well, because I mean, I'm just saying, I'm listening.
We're mistakenly told, ooh, you look different. You're closer to Arab. You're better. Those lies that were told by whiteness seeded the anti-Blackness that still lingers today. And because Somalia was not colonized in the exact same way as other African countries, many Somalis grew up thinking that Blackness was synonymous with oppression, something to escape, not embrace. But West.
All right, so Brick Lady is currently doing time in the Harris County Jail, so we'll let her relax a little bit. We don't want to bother her. It's probably time for them to go lights out. Y'all should put some on her books. All you all who supported her and said support Black women, y'all should go ahead and support that young lady right now. Here's the thing. So, you know, a lot of folk have had a lot to say about the folks in Somalia. You know, heat is getting turned up on
fraud ring with the Somalis and the Al-Shabaab and the Tim Walls. I just want to break this down really fast. So a bunch of people from a country with about a 67 average.
I just want you to know that he can see everything. Okay, I want you to.
IQ.
This gentleman right here, he can see this way and that way at the same time. Okay, he can see. You got that gecko vision. Okay, he can see this way and that way at the same time. He see. He can't see what's coming in the middle. If you put your finger in the middle, he'll never see this coming. But he can see that way and that way at the same time. I just want y'all to know that he can see everything. So don't come in here with your lies and fabrications, because he gonna see through you. I want you to understand that. He gonna see you coming.
Came to America, and instead of being like, hey, this is sick, we should just like the Americans, they said, no, let's funnel a bunch of tax money to the terrorist organizations that we escaped. And they did it under the guy who was running for vice president, who is in a heterosexual marriage and does jazz hands on stage.
Yeah. Okay, don't do that, Gecko man. Don't do that. You're gonna break out in laughter. I'm laughing. Sometimes I'm laughing. He's laughing too. But we're not laughing at the same things. Praise God.
Oh my God. It's almost like there were signs.
All right, let's get you up out of here. So, you know, heat is getting turned up on these folk, man. The heat is getting turned up on these people. You know, and the brothers has got a lot to say about it too.
In Minnesota, but this couple got away with $7.2 million after going to court and being convicted. The judge overturned it. They had a home health care business for 2 years without a physical address, like without a building, but a P.O. box. They overcharged Medicaid, overbilled them, didn't have documentation for the services that they provided. All this was provided in the courtroom. Yeah. And the judge said, nope, we're going to overturn the decision of the jury.
So basically, you got some of these Somalian folk went to court and on some scamming allegations. So this is so we all know what's gonna happen next, right? What happens when the heat gets turned up on these foreigners? Okay, let me let you see where it started first. What happened when the heat gets turned up?
I don't want them in our country, I'll be honest with you. Okay? Somebody would say, oh, that's not politically correct. I don't care.
What happens when the heat gets turned up on these black and African immigrants? What happens then? What do they do then?
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason.
They start tucking their flags, okay?
Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries, too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild.
We got to rebuild our country. I'm not gonna play that again. I want to keep this moving. But here's the thing: the heat is getting turned up on these Somalians, and they've already said that we're no black, right? Isn't that what they told us? We are not black like you all. That's what they told us, right? So check this out.
Instance when we are under attack, when this is a clear war and invasion going on,
and this is how black Americans feel.
People start calling ICE. Start calling ICE. I don't give a dog. Start calling ICE. You know that these foreigners are not from your land. When you see these foreigners and you see them grouped up, call ICE. When you see them at their mosque and they're coming out by the hundreds, call ICE. When you see them gathered at these stores and they're in a round table talking, call ICE.
Just to lay the contest, this gentleman here was sent back to Somalia. He is in Mogadishu. Okay, 3 points to anybody who can spell Mogadishu without Googling it. He is in Mogadishu right now. Mogadishu, Somalia. There was a famous movie called Black Hawk Down made. They sent him back. He was deported to Mogadishu. Remember, these are the folks that come to the country and tell us they're not black. So if they're not black, then that means we don't need to sympathize with them because they're not black like us. That's what they tell black Americans. They purposely point out the fact. They don't say stuff like, oh, no, I'm not Nigerian. I'm not Jamaican. I'm not black. Clearly, you're black. But you want to distance yourself so much from black American because you don't want the white folk to think you're anything like those American Negroes over there, those foundational black Americans that you've been told to stay away from. Well, you far away now, about as far as you can go in Mogadishu. So let's let him look at the soft music playing. Now again, I know I'm saying some things that are harsh to the ears, but I want you all to understand when these folk over here, they literally try to distance themselves, not all, okay, but they try to distance themselves from black Americans as if we somehow have done something to them. We didn't colonize your country. We didn't do anything to you all. All we did was embrace folk. We eat your food. We dance to your music. You know, we let you in our community. We call you black, and then you say you're not black. You know, you say you're not black. You're proud you're proud to call yourself a citizen or an American, but you refuse to identify with the people who made it for you to even be over here. Let's let them finish.
Here no more. I'm so tired of being here. This place. This is where I'm living. I'm so tired of it. It's just like I want to go back. I don't want to be here no more. I don't cut my hair. I don't shave. I don't do nothing. I just want to go back. It just gets bad in here, man. I just.
Oh, let's just get that your home country, man. Go to your grandma's house, man.
I don't want to be here no more. Just pray to God, just. I'm just tired of you guys talking about me and just always talking shit. These guys just don't even know how to just leave me alone. I'm just so tired.
You went over there and messed up. You went over there and messed up, sir.
Ilhan Omar is big mad. She's not talking with all that arrogance today. The largest welfare fraud scandal in all of America's history has happened in her district, Minnesota. So during that Democratic shutdown, the Republicans were working. Allegedly, the Somali community funneled fraudulent autism claims back to Somalia that goes into the accounts of Al-Shabaab, an Al-Qaeda terrorist group. So President Trump terminates the temporary migrant status for all Somalians. So let's talk about it. Allegedly, the Somalians found a way to exploit the HSS program of Minnesota. These funds were designated to autism, addicts, seniors, and those that needed help with housing. Word on the street, this program was...
Now, you hear what they say these folks are doing? These folks up in Minnesota scamming and getting millions of dollars on welfare. Okay? This has nothing to do with Black Americans. These people have already explained to everybody that they're not Black, right? They're not Black. Somebody type "me no Black" in the chat room. And this is what they're doing.
Ran loosely. Somali children are overly diagnosed with autism. They are enrolled in expensive social services programs. And then these inflated autism claims are submitted to Medicaid. I would say this is unbelievable, but this is happening in California as well. Within 4 years, the HSS program of Minnesota has increased from $3 million to $400 million.
Like, the racists are actually just jealous of Somalis because of how successful we became in a matter of one generation.
We jealous. Oh, that's what it is. Everybody, we are jealous of them. We're jealous of them. That's what's going on. We go ahead, young lady. We're jealous of y'all.
And I was watching a lot of videos that are coming up on my For You page where people are saying, how come Somalis have nice cars and we don't? We've been here.
Y'all got 400 million Medicaid fraud, apparently, according to Donald Trump, the DHS and the Republicans. Y'all been up there stealing money. That's how you got the money. Okay.
Like, how many generations? We were born here. Our ancestors are from here, but Somalis drive nice cars. This whole thing is just making me realize. I want
to hear that very carefully. What this young lady just said. She said, "Why do we have nice cars? You know, you all have been here for generations." Again, that's another shot. Who are they talking about? Who do you think they're talking about? You all have been here for generations, and we have nice cars. This is who.
Like, the racists are actually just jealous of Somalis because of how successful we became in a matter of one generation. And I was watching a lot of videos that are coming up on my For You page where people are saying, how come Somalis have nice cars and we don't? We've been here like how many generations? We were born here, our ancestors are from here, but Somalis drive nice cars.
Who you think she's throwing shots at? She throwing shots at Black Americans. We've been here for generations. Who you think she's not comparing herself to white people or Latinos? You see what I mean? A nice car. You don't even have citizenship, and I'm just saying, family. Look at this.
Whole thing is just making me realize is jealousy. They're jealous of our success because they expect us like to be at the bottom of the bottom, right? And then we come here one generation. We work hard. We save our money.
Somebody type "work hard" in the chat room. Somebody type "victim mentality" in the chat room. That's what they tell us, right? Somebody type "nice cars" in the chat room.
And Somalis are not the only community that committed fraud, okay?
It seemed like y'all committed $400 million in fraud, ma'am. That's why Donald Trump is sending ICE over there to investigate, along with the Department of Justice.
We're not all committing fraud, okay?
I want y'all to peep game. Don't ever.
I'm gonna let you hear what some other folk have had to say. Mind you, keep typing in the chat room, "me no Black." Okay, "me no Black," right? "Me no Black." Okay, that's what they said. "Me no Black." Now this lady right here, her name Her name is Elian Omar. Okay. Elian Omar is a representative of all those people in that Minnesota district. Now, you all heard all those Somalians say, me no black, right? You all heard that. Now, what happens when they turn the heat up? All of a sudden, when the heat gets turned up, whether we're talking about African immigrants, Caribbean blacks, whoever, then they want to fall under the umbrella of what? Blackness, general blackness, Black American blackness in specific, because they want protection. Now, mind you, this woman, along with all these other people, have been saying they're not black. This is what she said the other day. I want you to listen very carefully.
A racist, a bigot, a xenophobic, and Islamophobic. We know that he called African nations in his first administration. We know that when he came down that escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country. And so it is not surprising that he is going after black immigrants in this country. And it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to say...
Hold on a minute. Did she say black? Because I swear up and down, I mean, maybe I'm hearing things, but I thought Somalians weren't black. And that seems to be the common consensus. They're not black. Somebody typed me no black in the chat room. Maybe I misheard. Let's let it continue playing, because it seems now that the heat has turned. No, we didn't hear that right. Let's keep listening to what this lovely burqa-wearing young lady has to say.
Is that most of us are citizens. On our passport, it says we are nationals of this country. We love that Minnesota has welcomed us. Many of us have not been settled in Minnesota. We chose it as a home because the Minnesota people and the state is beautiful and very welcoming, and we are going to be here regardless of what the president has to say. Escalator, he said he was going to stop Muslim immigration into this country, and so it is not surprising.
He's not stopping all Muslim immigration. If you're from Saudi Arabia and you're a Muslim and you got a lot of oil money, you're welcome to come. It's not all Muslims. Let's not put this on Islam respectfully, ma'am.
That he is going after black immigrants in this country, and it's certainly not surprising that he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like to see after black immigrants in this country, and it's certainly not surprising.
Hold on. Me no black. You no black. You said it before. You no black.
That he's choosing a black immigrant community that is also Muslim. But what I would like after black immigrants in this country, and it's certainly not.
She black now. Now that the heat has got turned up, that's you remember when that Alabama riverboat fight when the brother threw that hat up in there? That is her throwing the hat up in there. Come save us. Come on up to Minnesota and bring your Martin Luther King suits and your civil rights boots and come stand in front of some of these water hoses. Come save us. That's what that is. Now, you've been ain't black for all these years, and now all of a sudden when the heat gets turned up, now you're black. Now when Donald Trump is calling your country garbage and telling you all you stink, now you want to be black. No. Somebody type delineation in the chat room. Somebody type delineation in the chat room. And this is the reason why we've had to delineate, because these folks are conveniently black. We want you to go back to being Somalian, okay? We want you to go right on back to being Somalian, because that's what you want to stand on. Now I'm gonna let you know.
Hi, so I just really want to make this video from like a human space. This is something I've been really meaning to say, and I'm so glad that I can.
Human space, a human space. She's a pretty little lady, pretty little Somalian lady with a burqa on and everything. Come on, baby, go try to convince us. Come on. I want all the black American women to come to the front of the room and see some brothers looking at this like, yeah, man, maybe we should help her out. She cute in the face. Look, I need all the black American women to come to the front of the room, because the brothers might be a little befuddled by this woman's appearance, okay? But remember, these folks said they are not black. We've heard all of them say, we heard Jerry Curl Black say he not black. We heard fat black stud Somalian say he's not black. And so, you know, so I'm convinced you're not black. Then all of a sudden, Elian Omar, the honorable congresswoman from Wisconsin, says, oh, she's black and her black community is being attacked. As if the foundational black American community, American Negro community that's been through all this, is supposed to just come save her. Let's keep listening.
Finally articulate it to you guys. So I'm Somali. I grew up in Minnetonka. I've been raised here my entire life. I am born here and I've lived here. I've studied here. I'm a pre-med. I do research and that's usually the type of stuff I talk about on my page. But right now,
So you have enjoyed the benefits that the United States have provided. Young lady, do you know that only 50 years ago you wouldn't even be able to enjoy those, but for the sacrifices of the foundational black American people that came and laid this out for you to be able to do that? Did you not know? Did you say thank you? Did you say thank you to my people? Let me show you the people that we come from. I want to show you the people. These are my people.
He work hard.
Fair use. See them people? Let me show you this picture. This is my grandmother right here. Her name is Elmira King Williams. She was born in Casilla, Mississippi in 1915. She picked cotton all the way up till she was 60 years old. Now, she got a lot of makeup on right now, but she was about the color of that woman right there. Okay? And that's how she used to keep her hair. What y'all call them braids, she used to call them plaits. These are the people that raised me. You understand? I want you to hear, while you sitting up there talking about, oh, you not black. These are the black people. These people, most of you all in who are foundational black American, you got relatives with these same stories in Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas. Let's hear what the sister and brother have to say.
I worked hard.
Work hard.
I get up at 4 o'clock and get my breakfast done. Just at dawn of day, I go to the field.
In the morning.
And we pick cotton.
Mr. and Mrs. Haywood Jenkins.
Now, I don't want to get what's called any sort of commercial strike for this, so I'm gonna play a little music in the background to distort it. But I want y'all to. These are the voices of my ancestors. I had a conversation with my son today and told him, both of them actually, one in the morning and one in the evening. And I said, you're not just in college and doing well for yourself. You're doing it for our ancestors who couldn't do it, who they would torture or maim just because they tried to read. This is why these are the shoulders that you stand on. We always talk about Martin Luther King and all these well-dressed black folk that you see now. What about those people? What about our black because see, we just put the suits on after the 1960s. Before that, we was in the fields. And that's a relatively short time ago. My mother picked cotton right next to my grandmother. My mother had to deal with Jim Crow. My grandmother had to deal with Jim Crow. You understand me? So as you all sit up there talking about you're not black, your black asses need to be happy you're here in the first damn place, but for people like that you see on the screen. I'm gonna let the elders continue to speak because you need to hear our history from the mouths of the people who lived it.
Jenkins of Sharkey County, Mississippi, has between them picked cotton for over a century.
My boss man came along. He says, Mary Jane? I said, sir. Says, I say, when you wash? I said, I washed last night. He said, I don't want you to do that no more. That's my agent, you know. He says, every Friday morning or Friday evening, you wash. And let all the children stay there with you until you get through. When you get through, then y'all can go back to the field and wait. Now, the agent was mean, some of them. Some of them was mean.
Now, this is a woman, she being told she a grown woman. This is after slavery. You understand me? This is why she was a sharecropper. Some white man said, I want you to wash on this day, then go out in the field. Tell them what to do. A grown woman.
They want to hook the colored people. And that kind of white man come along. He says, hey, but you ain't in the field yet? He just had started applying. He said, yes, I've just not had to eat my dinner. God damn it, you ain't doing a goddamn thing. Says, God damn it, all the take this damn stick and free the hell out you. He said, no, she said, if you free the hell out of me, goddamn, I free the hell out of you. It makes me feel bad if I was under them, you know, how mean they was to treat us like that.
Yeah, so like I'm saying, these are the people, for you to be able to sit up here, I'm going to let
It's really important for me to say this. What I'm going to say is that I have been getting so many
You're sitting up there in your nice car here in America talking about you're a pre-med student as if you're privileged. I'm sorry, as if you don't respect as if you don't realize the privilege that you have. 50, 60 years ago, they would have ran you out of those schools. But for the sacrifices and our people having what's called take low, you are able to sit here and you got the nerve to tell folk you're not black. And now she's up here begging. The old folk would have laughed at her, begging for help, trying to put the pretty face on and bat them eyes as if we supposed to come running. Y'all need to learn your lesson.
Messages telling me to go back to your country, go back to your country. But the reality of the situation is the United States is the only country I've ever known my entire life. And the thing is, the great...
They tell black Americans to go back to Africa all the time. And we haven't been in Africa 300-400 years. I'm just saying, most of us couldn't even tell you what tribe or nation we came from. And they tell us to go back to Africa. You're getting what is called a Negro wake-up call. And we've been trying to tell you, this is the America that you're dealing with.
The irony of it all is I'm not the ambassador of Somalia. I don't speak for Somali people. I'm not a spokesperson for this community. I'm just...
You're dressed like a Somalian. You look like a Somalian. You tell people you're not black. You tell them you're Somalian. So yes, you are. You are the designated representative, whether you like it or not. Just the same as the richest black man is held responsible for some. The richest, most upstanding black men and women are held responsible for what the degenerates do. Whether we're talking about Sexy Red or some of these other people, we are all held responsible. We are all put in the same kettle. That's why we as a people will not rise until the lowest amongst us is rise. The Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan said that, quoting his teacher, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Okay, you should have learned these lessons.
One young person trying to study, navigate life, and live like any other 20-something-year-old living here in this state. And so something that I feel like is going on is that there's a lot of immigrant people and first-gen, second-gen kids like me, with this weight on our shoulders, trying to explain everything going on in our communities, trying to defend our communities. But I'm really no different from any other 20-something-year-old trying to make it here.
No, you are black. You are black and you are living in America. And now you're dealing with the racism and the bigotry that we told you, all them nice white folk, whether you talking about the racist rednecks or the liberal northeastern whites, you're dealing with it now. And we tried to warn you all about it. Now you can't hide behind blackness because you've told us you're not black. And here's the thing, there's a lot of black people that don't give a damn about what you're going through.
Somalis sent to Minnesota so they could vote in Ilhan Omar. That's how it was set up. Do you know that they are inbred so much that their IQ is between 60 and 80? If y'all don't get y'all fraudulent, scamming, cross-eyed, big four-headed, incestual asses up out of here. We know you married your brother. Take y'all illegal, scamming asses on. Get out. I'm on my way to Minnesota. I'm on my way to ask you questions. You didn't want to say nothing to the white boy that was asking. You wanted to threaten the white boy, but I bet you won't threaten me.
Yeah.
I bet you won't tell me to get the fuck on. I bet I won't. Let's go to...
You can't get mad at black people. We tried to tell you. We tried to tell y'all that this is America. We tried to say, hey, come on, hang out with us. Let's come mingle with us. We'll show y'all how it's doing. But y'all got caught up with, oh, you call us African booty scratchers. And now the white folks are wearing you out. Let me show you how the white folks are wearing you out. I want you to be, let me show you exactly where white folks are coming from. Okay.
And although you are a bigot,
I want you to see, y'all thought y'all had rights. you thought you had rights. You thought that, America's fair and whatnot.
Who came in and dropped a grenade at the city council meeting.
You guys got to keep it down. Okay.
In 1900, the world was 30% white. Fast forward
125 years, we are down to 7%. The Islamification of Europe is particularly aimed at the destruction of white people. The Islamification of America is aiming to meet the same goal. Our people, white Christian, European, Western civilization, we built the arts. We built the Colosseum. We have ran the world into the industrial age. And now, this people here, the Muslim community, is looking to drag us back. They're looking to oppress women, oppress homosexuals. They're looking to destroy everything that makes America great. President Trump, send ICE into Dearborn.
Now, I want to point out to you, black people were telling you this is how white folks are. We told you that, didn't we? Didn't we tell you? We told you, didn't we? And this is how they talk to you now. Now you confused and upset. You went, oh my God, we just don't want to go through. Oh, America is supposed to be, a great place, and I'm just a normal 20-year-old, and I'm not black. Keep on doing it.
These people have overstayed their visas. They're H-1B chain migration invaders, and they have come to this country to destroy our way of life. We know exactly your laws in your book about lying to our faces, pretending to be Americans, wearing your suits. But
now I want you to note he said American. Okay, I want you to understand something. American. He didn't say citizen. He said American. There's a difference between being a citizen and being an American. I know you all think they're synonymous, but typically when white folks say American, they're talking about white Americans. Black people have known for years that when white people talk about America, they're talking about their America. It means white. Okay, we are citizens. Matter of fact, you look in the Constitution of the United States, 14th Amendment, it grants citizens the rights, equal opportunity, etc. Okay, but American is a whole nother level of privilege, which is one of those nuances in the language that a lot of you foreigners don't understand because you don't understand the culture. You don't understand white people. You just think you do. You just read some books, watched some documentaries, learned to speak some English, watched a few rap videos, and you thought you had it figured out. And here you go.
that doesn't happen anywhere else where you guys are in charge. There are 53 Muslim majority countries, and in all of them, it is tyranny, destruction. It is shithole living. We have to call it what it is. You guys don't live like we do. We don't want you in our country. We will come and eat your shawarma in Somalia, okay? We don't need it here.
Again, Somalians are catching hands out here. And this is not unlike all the rest of the Africans because all of them are catching hands, but these Somalians are very virulent. I want you to hear what the Somali mayor of the town said. They're not passive. I don't hear a whole lot from Nigerians and Ghanaians and the West Africans. They pretty calm. They just talk shit to Black Americans. They don't really mess with the white folk. But I want you to hear, what would they say? You getting a little too big for your britches. You getting a little too high on your hog. Listen to what this Somalian mayor said to this white man who was saying, hey, y'all changing our culture.
Racist. You are an Islamophobe. And although you are a bigot, and you are a racist, and you are an Islamophobe. And although you live here, I want you to know as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city.
These comments from the Muslim mayor of Dearborn, Michigan to a resident at a city council meeting made news.
Look who we talking to like that.
The resident had committed the offense of expressing.
You talking to this white man like that, and all these other white people see you talking to him like that?
Expressing concern over a.
They clearly don't know what happened after Reconstruction ended in the American South. Y'all didn't read enough history. Okay.
Street being named after Osama Siblani.
My concern is he's a promoter of Hezbollah and Hamas.
The best suggestion I have for you is to not drive on Warren Avenue or to close your eyes while you're doing it.
Mind you, that white man probably been living in that city his whole life. Granddaddy lived there. Great. He probably goes back generations. And you telling him he got to leave his city? That was just a clarion call to all the rednecks to come up there. You see what I'm saying?
I'm an apostate. I'm willing to help based on the videos that you dropped. So if I were you, I'd sit silently.
Okay. So perhaps. We shouldn't be too surprised that Dearborn has drawn the attention of people like this guy who.
So here's where your boy popped up, and we'll let him finish doing his diatribe. Okay, he gave it.
Okay, we don't need it here in Michigan. We don't need it in any part of America. We have a.
And again, YouTube, this is all for educational purposes only. Please do not demonetize my channel for racism. And I'm talking to people. I'm holding a lecture here. Okay, I'm speaking to people about racial issues in America, YouTube. So don't demonetize my platform. And, that's all I'm saying. Okay, because I need my $3-4 that the people have given me today. Remember, if you learn something, I should earn something. We ain't got to the learning yet. We about to get to smoking in a minute.
Right to self-determination. Our founding fathers fought and died for our posterity, for white Americans. And we're being driven out. You come here and you marry 4 or 5 women and you outbreed us. You change the laws. You make all of our country look like the places that you fled from. We don't want you here. Respectfully, get the out of my country. I don't want you here. We don't want you here.
That's fine.
I don't want you here. I don't want you here.
That's fine, sir. Just
This is our country. And the
Chief, can you send the
people,
guys out there?
the veterans.
I mean, dear Somalians and all you other African people, I just want you to understand something. There's a reason why Black Americans are the way we are. And you all are going to learn very quickly. Okay, when you get through with this, and I'm going to talk about this in our lecture because we got a long way to go tonight. It's going to be smoking hot. These are the white people. These are these white people, these so nice white people that you all said that, we don't know what's wrong with these blacks here and these Black Americans. These are them. And you seeing the true face of what we've been dealing with the past 406 goddamn years. Let's keep listening.
The World War II veterans that's blood has soaked for our constitutional republic are taking a look around Europe. They're taking a look around America, and they're saying, what the hell did we fight for? We have been taken over without a single shot fired. You guys are outbreeding insidious parasites on the American way.
Parasites. All the foundational Black American people, I want you all to make sure you sit your ass down, okay? We are not in this fight. This is for them. They about to catch hands from these white folks. Shout out to Black Sands. I'm going to read all the super chats later. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the super chat. This is the smoke that they get.
Way of life. You will never look like us. You will never eat like us. You won't build buildings like us. You are nothing. You can build nothing. Just like President Trump's great American friends have said. You guys are not us, and get the out. America first. America only. God bless America. Jesus is king. Jesus is king.
Thank you.
Jesus is king. Jesus is king.
Thank you.
Jesus is king. Jesus is king.
Time has expired. Order in the chambers. Order in the chambers.
And that concludes
our meeting for the
Oh, that's you some guy.
Guys.
That's just some guy on the internet who's just trolling. Okay, well, this is the American president. This is the current sitting president at a press rally. It's almost like they're taking talking points from the same.
I don't want them in our country. Their country's no good for a reason. Their country stinks, and we don't want them in our country. I could say that about other countries too. I can say it about other countries too. We don't want them to hell. We have to rebuild our country. Our country's at a tipping point. We could go bad. We're at a tipping point.
Look, family, when white people start talking like this, Black people, you wonder why Black folks stayed segregated? There was a meeting that took place after the end of the Civil War, and they asked General Howard, who Howard University is named after, do you Blacks want to integrate with white people? 19 out of the 20 Black people there basically said, hell no, we do not want to be around white folks. We know how white people are. We're good. We want our own space. It was only we realized that separate but equal wasn't working because it was inherently unequal, and we fought for not to be integrated with white people, but we fought for equal, not to be integrated. And that's something that a lot of people confuse, but they integrated because they wanted to get the money and the economic benefit of having white people shopping and buying and purchasing and using their public goods at public accommodation. But let's let the president.
I don't know if people mind me saying that, but I'm saying it. We could go one way or the other, and we're going to go the wrong way if we keep taking in garbage into our country.
Garbage.
Ilhan Omar is garbage. She's garbage. Her friends are garbage. These aren't people that work. These aren't people that say, let's go, come on, let's make this place great. These are people that do nothing but complain. They complain. And from where they came from, they got nothing. You know, they came from paradise, and they said this.
And then y'all keep saying there's going to be a civil war. No, they're just going to round these folk and put them out. That's what they're going to do. They're just going to round them up and put them out.
Isn't paradise. But when they come from hell and they complain and do nothing but bitch, we don't want them in our country. Let them go back to where they came from and fix it.
Back to where you came from and fix it. You hear me? So not only are you hearing it from the average Yahoo white man, but you're hearing it from the president of the United States. And there are a bunch of people behind him that feel the same way he does. Now, look here. There's really no way around this. Again, somebody type me no black in the chat room. I want all the foundational black Americans / American Negro. I want all the people who are ADOS, the descendant of slaves. I want you to know they have said me no black. And the thing is, when we got off those slave ships, we threw away our tribal distinctions, and we threw away our different religions, and we incorporated all that we could under one banner that we are black. Okay? And there's no way around, but I want you all to understand there's no way around the fact that there's a large number of Americans who agree with Trump's harsh language about these Somalian immigrants, not just white people either. You heard what the sister had to say. You heard what the brother had to say. He said, call ICE on them. All right? I'm just saying what it is. Many folk openly support what we see happen. They believe immigration enforcement should be aggressive, and they believe immigrants are a problem. Not some immigrants, all immigrants. Look, man, I'm just telling you what you say. It's a wide net that's cast. Okay? And the reality has to be confronted before we go any further. Now, to my brothers and sisters, what has surprised many people, what has surprised everybody is the response, or should I say lack of response, from black folks, black Americans, foundational black Americans, the American Negro, okay? Despite the Somali immigrants being black, and they clearly are black, and they are also clearly being targeted, black Americans in our community, we have, for the most part, remained silent. We're sitting back, eating popcorn, minding our black business about these deportations and enforcement action against the Somalians and other black African immigrants also. Okay, but here's the thing. They expected outrage. They expected protests. They expected, come on, brother, solidarity. And that reaction did not come. And the reason why is going to surprise many people. Why don't, and it lets you know they really don't understand black Americans. See, here's the thing. For decades, black Americans have warned African and Caribbean immigrants about one simple truth in the United States. Your tribe does not matter. Your nationality does not matter. Your religion or lack thereof doesn't matter. What matters here is that you are black. Okay? But many of these, or in the case where you might be Latino, you might be white. Okay? But see, many of you immigrants from Africa and the Caribbean, you refuse to accept this. Dominicans, they made the term me no black famous. Okay? And Africans often say, I'm Nigerian, or I'm Somalian, or I'm Ghanaian. And they strongly reject being identified as black. Even the darkest, blackest Africans from the darkest part of Africa have insisted that they are not black. You got Caribbean people who have they went through the same slavery and colonization that we have. And you got Haitians out here saying, I'm not black American. You black as hell. You might not be black American, but you black as hell. And it didn't stop there. Many of these groups openly have separated themselves from Black Americans. They mocked us. These people got the nerve to come to our country and talk down to us. They're so disrespectful. And in some cases, they have literally worked alongside the white power structure and other officials to harm Black Americans politically and economically and socially, and try to undermine some of the hard-earned advances that we've made. The nerve of these folks. You understand? Nevertheless, they made it clear they did not want to be associated with what we have going on as Black Americans in the Black American community. And, and they don't feel any shared responsibility to do so. They don't have the historical baggage, political baggage. They don't have the legacy. So we said, okay, tally ho. All right, we took them at their word. But what people are seeing now, today, the silence, okay? It's not confusion. We're not abandoning anybody. It's deliberate separation, okay? Somali immigrants, like many others before them, they told Black Americans they were not Black. Because of that, okay, now there's no shared sense of family, no obligation, no expectation that Black Americans should rush in to save or defend them. There was a situation that happened in New York back in the 80s, man. And there was a young Black boy from the Caribbean. We had a lot of people from the Caribbean. The police had I believe they hurt this little Black boy from the Caribbean. All the Black Americans jumped in. Because, yeah, you Black, we Black. Just look it up. I have to look it up for you if I can find it. But we was in solidarity with them. You see? But now moving forward to what we're dealing with right now, you Somalians, you viewed yourself, and many of you Africans, you viewed yourself as your own group. Y'all got your numbers up. You didn't need us anymore. Same thing the Latinos did. Puerto Ricans were down with Black people when it was a couple of them. And then when they got deep, guess what? They went off on their own. And so now you got to stand alone. You see, it did not have to be this way. See, if these communities had stood with Black Americans and integrated into the Black communities and respected Black Americans and Black American history and respected our struggle and our sacrifices of our ancestors and what we are doing right now, they would have been protected. The same way Black Americans protect our own. I know my people. We would have stepped to the front of the line. We'd have been right there with you. You fucked around, excuse my language, you fucked around and found out. Sorry, I apologize. You decided that you wanted to disrespect the only friend you could have possibly had in the country. You're going to run to the Japanese? They're not going to save you. You're going to run to the Samoans? What about the Asians? They're going to ignore you. You're going to run to the Latinos? What about the Jamaicans and the Haiti? They ain't got nothing for you. See, the protection that Black American offers comes from unity and numbers and shared political power. You should align yourself with us. But see, years of separation, years of disdain, shout out to Big Hurt, and disrespect. Because see, at the end of the day, this is all about disrespect. And now you're dealing with the consequences. See, the United States is not like countries where everyone looks the same. It's not that place, okay? Because when you're in a country where everybody looks alike, you can have some kind of division. Tribalism happens. Regionalism happens. That's a luxury of a Black majority country. In the United States, skin color determines social position and political power. Here, Black is the category that matters. And that has been the fundamental misunderstanding of many of you Black immigrants. See, for many Africans and Caribbeans, let's take Jamaica, okay? It's predominantly Black, you see? Haiti, it's predominantly Black. So they don't have the issues of being surrounded by people. We are outnumbered. 10-1 almost. Shout out to Wayne Lundy and Wayne Lundy Jr. Thank you so much. But see, the thing is, for many African and Caribbean immigrants, this moment right now is the realization that they tried to avoid. They are learning harshly that in America, they are Black, whether they like it or not. whether they claim to be or not, you're black. And some might call it a rude wake-up call. Some might call it a Negro wake-up call. But either way, the lesson is being taught in real time, and we're watching it. And see, here's the thing y'all understand. This is why a lot of black folk don't have any sympathy, and the sister pointed it out. These folk were brought over here to replace us. See, a lot of black people understand that in immigration, that immigration into the United States, both legal and illegal, whether we're talking about Joe Biden opening up the floodgates and letting all those people in, it was expanded for the purpose to try to weaken the power black Americans gained or realized we had during the civil rights movement. I want y'all to get in tight. I want you to understand something. I'm gonna give you some numbers. I want you to get your pens down, get your pads out, get your pencils out. I want you to understand why we are where we are right now. And I want you to listen very closely. Okay? Before 1965, just so we can stick a pin in it, somebody type 1965 in the chat room. It's a very tumultuous decade. A lot of freedom fighters got shot. President was shot. Malcolm, Martin, a lot of people died. You know, Medgar, a lot of people. It's a very tumultuous time period. Before 1965, this country looked very different. It was majority white. Okay? It was majority white to the tune of like 85% white. Okay, in the mid 1960s, I'm gonna give you some numbers. Hispanic people, and keep in mind it was about 200, I'm gonna just say 250 million white folk, 250 million Americans. Okay, Hispanics were 3 to 4% of the population, 3 to 4%. Tiny. Asians, less than 1%. Black Americans mainly found almost exclusively the American Negro, foundational Black Americans, the people whose ancestors went through slavery and Jim Crow. Here, we're 10% of the country. Truly, it's about 9% of the country. So we're about 9%. White folks are about 15, 16%. Hispanics are 3, 4%, and 1% Asians. That was it. Okay? That was it. It was filled up with white folk. Then and they had to deal with us. Okay? And we did a lot in the 1960s. With only 9%, 10% of the population, we literally changed how things went. We changed the social status. Now, let's go and ask our shout out to Torian Jones. Let's ask ourselves, why was it so few of anybody else in this country? Because see, Mexicans and Latinos and where were y'all? They always said, we don't see Latinos boycotting and protesting with us in the 1960s because they weren't here. They couldn't have marched on Edmund Pettus Bridge because they were not here. There was only 3 or 4% of them. They weren't everywhere like they are now. They just weren't here. It was just black people and white people. And the reason is because you had strict immigration rules that favored Europe. Okay? And let me give you another number. There were only a few thousand Africans in this country. I believe like 50,000 Africans born in the continent living in the United States. Not millions, just about 50,000. You understand what I'm saying? And then came the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1965. This all happened when black folk started doing well. They came up with this Hart-Celler Act, and we thought it was a good idea. It's not something we came up with. We said, yeah, let some more black people in. What did it do? It ended the old national origins quota system that had favored letting white people in from European countries and stop Asians and Africans and Mexicans and Latinos and anybody else of color from coming in. All right. But what did it do? It set up a new system that gave most visas to family members of people already here to certain. It gave it to workers and refugees instead of people who have family. And after that change, immigration from Europe, it dropped sharply. And guess who started showing up? Asians, Latin Americans, and later on Africans in the 80s. And so immigration rose tremendously. Okay. It rose tremendously. All right. And over time, this completely changed the black population in America. Why did they do it though? I want you to understand, in the 1980s, only 3% of black people in the US were foreign born. But by 2013, you had almost 9% of black people in America. That's 3.8 million, almost 4 million black folk in 2013 were from somewhere else, the Caribbean and Africa. And today, African immigrants alone number in the hundreds of thousands. Some say up to 25% of the population of black people in America are African immigrants, first generation, second generation, the Caribbean immigrants, first generation, second generation, third generation, whatever. Now here's where the problem lies. During the civil rights era, black Americans had done something powerful. In that very short time period, we forced the end of legal segregation, which had gone on for hundreds of years. We changed the voting laws. We pushed through major civil rights and fair housing protections. We were a big part of the labor force, and our educated leaders worked closely with the black people, with the black masses, and together we literally shook the system up. And it upset the social order of this country. You had people who now, they literally had they had the social system say, I don't even have to sit next to a black person. And now their children can go to school with mine. And black people, white people were like, oh, hell no. They gave a collective, oh, hell no. You see? And what happened? Instead of dealing with black Americans and our rights, white folks in the system, they decided to bring in new groups, including a whole lot of black immigrants. And they brought them in, okay, because they knew that they didn't share our specific history. And they even told them, don't join in with those black people. Don't join in our political fight. You see? And so basically they diluted the power of black people. Of course, they did all kind of other stuff, COINTELPRO, and they flooded the black community with dope and et cetera. But again, understand that immigration has always been used as a weapon against workers, especially black workers. Whenever black Americans organize and demand higher wages or refuse to be exploited, the response is the same. They bring in another group who's willing to, who's desperate enough to work for less. And what happened with Europeans, and that happened with the Europeans, and then the Mexicans, and then the Asians, and then the Africans. You see, it was never about diversity. It was about keeping labor cheap and keeping black folk, black Americans specific, from having so much leverage. And so the immigration policy changed because more and more black immigrants began arriving and moving into black neighborhoods, but they didn't see themselves as foundational black Americans. They didn't see themselves as the American Negro, okay? Some of the scholars will refer to it as, they call it the Caribbeanization or internationalization of black politics. We don't give a damn what's going on in Ghana or Port-au-Prince or Kingston. We want to know what's going on in Compton. We want to know what's going on in DC, where our people are. But see, this all changed. You said you even had black leaders, like in the 1990s, you had Congresswoman Barbara Jordan, a very well-respected black civil rights figure. She chaired the U.S. Commission on Immigration Reform, and she warned that immigration policy must not hurt disadvantaged Americans, especially black workers. And she called for cutting back some forms of legal immigration and enforcing the law so that the low-wage black citizens would not be pushed out of jobs. This is what Congressman Barbara Jordan said way back then. But she urged large-scale immigration reform because she recognized that they were being used as a buffer class, okay, between the white elites and black Americans. So, you know, on the ground, everyday black people saw something simple. They tried to tell Africans and Caribbeans, in this country, your tribe does not matter. Your nationality does not matter. White people in the system see you as black. You need to stand with black Americans so we can be stronger together. But a lot of immigrants, they rejected the message. Me no black, said the Somalis. Me no black, said the Ghanaians. Me no black, said the Dominicans and Nigeria. I'm African. You see? This is what they did. We welcomed these people when they first got here. We opened our neighborhoods and our churches and our culture. But now here we are 60 years later after 1965, and many black Americans feel that a lot of these immigrant groups have been, they used to some, they came over here and they took jobs, they took over the politics, and they took over the culture. You see? And they're willing to be used. And that's why today you see so many you don't see really a big outcry from indigenous black Americans, the foundational black Americans. You don't see the descendants of the freedmen, the American Negro. You don't see us out there. We are people whose families built this country under slavery, Jim Crow. And when certain immigrant groups are targeted, you don't see us doing anything because they never stood up with us. In fact, they tried to separate themselves from us at each and every turn. And that separation happened, and the separation happening right now is intentional. See, let me explain something to you. And let me know if you guys are still with me. If you learn something, I should earn something. The term African American, because of what, and I'm talking generally about delineation, but I want you to understand something. That term African American, created by Jesse Jackson in the 1980s, it's grown so wide that it includes immigrants from all 54 African countries who don't share our history in the United States. And many of them might not even be black. Technically, Elon Musk is an African American, technically. See, and that broad label, it helps blur lines between those whose ancestors were enslaved here and fought Jim Crow here, and those who arrived after 1965 under the new immigration laws. And so black Americans are now drawing the line and reclaiming our identity, foundational black American, indigenous American, descendants of freedmen, okay? And it's not out of hatred, but it's out of self-protection. What people are seeing today is not ignorance or cruelty. Shout out to Faquan. It's a result of decades of being politically undermined and ignored and replaced. And black Americans are finally saying, we know who we are, we know what we built, and we will decide who speaks for us. Now, I want to talk to the white people for a minute, because I don't feel sorry for you. All right, white people want their country back. White people are always talking about this is their country, but the truth is this was never their country. The vast, let me break some numbers down to y'all. Y'all keep your pens out. The vast majority of white people in the United States can trace their ancestors back to Ellis Island in the late 1800s and the 1900s. This is well after the country had already been built and well after the majority of the wars that established this nation through blood and sacrifice had been fought. You didn't come from here, okay? Your countries are European countries. You came from Poland, you came from Yugoslavia, you came from Romania, you came from Bulgaria, you came from Ireland, you came from Italy, you came from Germany. That's where most of you all came from. And in fact, from 1880 to 1914, doing what the historians call the third wave of immigration, over 20 million raggedy, rotten, stinking, dirty European immigrants came over here busted and disgusted, okay? With the peak year being 1907, you had over a million immigrants pass through Ellis Island, and that was the busiest year ever for the main immigration gateway. So many of you came here in that way, well, your ancestors did. And yet, when you arrived, you weren't even treated as white. You had groups like Italians and Poles and Hungarians and Slavs and other new immigrants from Southern and Eastern Europe. You faced virulent prejudice. The Italians, for example, they were widely stereotyped. The newspaper and the nativist publications called them swarthy. And swarthy means black, unclean. They called them unintelligent. They even referred to them as subhuman. All right, and they were denied jobs and housing and even social acceptance. The Polish people, the Greeks, the Hungarians, the Slav, many from what's now known as Eastern Europe, they were all lumped in together and considered inferior by the white folks who were here. But here's where it changed. As soon as those immigrant groups realized that in order to move up in America's social hierarchy, all they needed to do was adopt some anti-black racism, and they did. And this happened in real time, and it happened by design. By the late 1800s and the 1900s, you had the Irish and the Italian and the Polish and the Eastern European immigrants. They learned that proximity to whiteness meant access to jobs and housing and safety and political power. So they participated in segregation, discrimination, and prejudice. These folk who had just been treated like garbage a few decades back called themselves distancing themselves from Black Americans. They aligned themselves with the white majority, and they climbed that ladder. That isn't an opinion, family. That's history. And see, another thing people don't want to admit is that becoming white in America was a deal, okay? Not acceptance. They made a deal. The Irish, the Italians, the Poles, the Slavs, they didn't magically become white because racism disappeared. No, they weren't considered white at all when they first arrived in the 19th century. Newspapers openly describe Italians as Mediterranean. They call them criminals. The Irish immigrants were called brutes and apes. The KKK was the biggest opponent of the damn Irish. They literally had the KKK cracking down on the Irish because, number one, they were Irish and then they were Catholics. They referred to the Polish people and the Slavs as subhuman, said they were unfit to self-govern themselves. You understand? This is all in the media, in the politics. This is known in the 1900s. They became white because they abandoned their own cultures. The cultures from their homeland, and they did that in order to become white, a term that had no meaning, very little meaning before the rise of the racial hierarchies, which was tied to the anti-black, to the transatlantic slave trade, where they had to say, well, you know what, the concept of white people as a single group, it didn't exist historically, not the way it does now. It was created during the African slave trade to separate the enslaved Africans who were Black from the European laborers and the owning class and the people with higher social. And it gave the Europeans a higher social status than Black people. But before that, white people were Irish, they were Polish, they were Danish, they were Italian. They weren't white. You see? And when European immigrants arrived in the United States in these massive numbers, over 20 million, back in 1880 to 1940, they faced a choice. Stay on the bottom with the Blacks as a Polish person or Irish or whatever, or accept the racial deal America is offering. You can be one of us, but you can't be one of them. And that deal came with benefits. Benefits that Black people couldn't get. You see, and here's the thing, when Black people were being unalived and beaten and legally segregated, where were all these immigrant communities in? They were here, they saw it, and instead of standing with Black people, most stayed quiet or hell, they joined in. And that silence wasn't accidental. It was self-protection. And that history explains why today Black Americans don't feel obligated to keep saving people who never showed up when it mattered. And see, the thing is, once the groups accepted that whiteness, and I'm talking about the Irish, the Poles, the Italians, once they accepted that whiteness, doors open for them. They gained access to police departments and civil jobs, city jobs, and political machines. And in cities like Boston and New York and Chicago, Irish immigrants, they flooded the police force in the 1800s and early 1900s. And that helped propel them into the middle class. And in doing their jobs, they were the ones enforcing the Jim Crow laws. It was often the Irish and the Italian police officers enforcing segregation, breaking up Black strikes and protecting white property. And when Black Americans were being murdered by white mobs and beaten and legally segregated, where were the immigrants? They were there. They saw it. But instead of standing with Black people, and I'm talking to white folk, instead of standing with Black people Most of y'all stayed quiet or y'all participated. You see? So when we see America tearing itself up from the weight of its own hypocrisy, we don't feel the need to jump off the couch and save America again. You got Irish cops enforcing Jim Crow laws when just a few decades prior, they themselves were subject to racially restrictive housing codes. You see? Saying legal contracts that explicitly barred black families from buying or renting homes. Those covenants were upheld by courts all the way up to 1948 when the Supreme Court had to overrule it. You understand? Labor unions wouldn't let us in. They excluded black workers well into the 20th century, and they welcomed these European immigrants who proclaimed themselves to be black. Black workers were locked out of skilled trades when we were the ones who built this country because of our skills at the trades. You got white folk passing their jobs down to their sons and their cousins and nephews. That's how generational wealth was built and how black Americans were shut out. Even when we talk about the GI Bill from 1944, it gave veterans low interest home loans, college tuition, and business equity. Okay? But see, those businesses, those benefits were administered locally. Most black people lived down south, and in 1944, we were in the heat of Jim Crow. So you got this racist redneck, shout out to Rick Wise, you got this racist redneck. He doesn't have to give that to you. It was administered locally. That was the bargain. If they'd done it federally, it would have been differently. But they did it locally so they can further discriminate against black GIs. And this is how these folk came to this country and built their wealth. You want to know why immigrants come to the country? My grandfather came to this country and he built his wealth. He had a GI Bill to pay for his education. He had a GI Bill that helped him put a down payment on a house and propelled him into the middle class. That's why your grandfather could do it and my grandfather couldn't, and they both fought in the same war. So now when I hear white folk complaining about being lost, about having an identity crisis, about not knowing who they are, because that's what this is really about. That confusion didn't come from nowhere. You abandon your real culture, you abandon your real history, you abandon your real language and your real traditions, and in exchange for status, that's what you did it. You wanted to be white. And that's why they so quick to have this cultural appropriation. You gave up your own culture to gain this white status, and you end up borrowing pieces of our culture, our music, our roots, and you have no accountability for it. You're not white. You're descended from Danish people with deep ancient culture. You're not white. You're Polish. You have your own language and your own traditions and your own history. You're not white if you're Irish. You're Irish. Hardworking, fighting people who survived colonization and famine and mass death. You got your own music, your own storytelling, your own dance, and your own identity. But see, you gave all that up in exchange for whiteness because whiteness came with power and influence and unearned social status here in the United States. And practicing anti-black racism was the entry fee. And so you went with it. So, you know, when I hear white people complaining about immigrant groups, taking advantage, I laugh. Okay? I laugh because that's what you did. See, whitening was never about equality. It was about picking a side. And the side they picked came with real rewards. It came with better jobs. It came with safer neighborhoods. It came with political protection, generational wealth, all built to the exclusion of Black Americans. Shout out to Tobias Judah. You understand? Now, the hypocrisy when white people today complain about illegal immigrants and people of color coming, changing things. People talk about America being too diverse. But it was never white in the first place. It was native land built by African labor, expanded by taking other people's territory, and later was filled up with immigrants. The only thing to change is that the white people no longer control the numbers the way they used to back when they were. Remember when I told y'all earlier, about 85, 86% of the country. And now it's down to nearly almost less than half. It will be in 10, 15 years. That's what really scares them. When white people talk about taking their country back, they're not talking about values. They're not talking about Jesus. They're talking about power. They're talking about the power in sheer numbers to dominate and exploit and define everyone else. And the fear isn't change. The fear is equality. And history shows that whenever equality feels like, they losing it, you get a backlash file. Shout out to Faquan. Now, I want you all to understand, you white folk, your ancestors voluntarily came to our country, which was already built by black labor or stolen indigenous land on centuries of slavery. You came years and decades after the foundation was laid. And yet, because many of you, fought to distance yourselves from black Americans because you accepted the rules of racial hierarchy here, now you stand on top and complain when you see more people arriving from abroad. See, the biggest difference between black Americans and every damn body else who came to this country is simple. Black people never had a choice. We didn't come voluntarily. We weren't offered land, and the land they offered, they took it right back. We weren't allowed to return home whenever we want to. And after slavery ended, we weren't absorbed into whiteness like the European immigrants were. We were kept separate on purpose. So when immigrants complain about discrimination, they're talking about barriers black Americans were never allowed to escape. There are a lot of white people complaining about the fact that their countries are being taken over by immigrants, whether we're talking about right here in the United States or complaining about Hispanics and Latinos or Arabs or whoever, but they're the ones, y'all the ones that brought the Hispanics and Latinos up here to do the menial labor, stuff you didn't want to do. You lazy white folk don't want to pick no goddamn fruit. You don't want to spend all day hunched over in the fields and picking strawberries and doing the labor. You don't want to cut your own grass. You don't want to do any of that. So you bring the Mexicans and the South Americans and the Central Americans over here to cook your food and watch your badass kids. That's what you did. And people forget something very important. The same government that invited those and used Mexican labor also targeted them. Same way they brought them over here and sending them back right now. Back in the 1940s and 1950s, the U.S. government ran something called the Bracero program, Bracero. They brought Mexican workers in to do the farm labor. That was in the 1940s and 50s. And then in 1954, the U.S. government launched Operation Wetback. That's where the name comes from. Operation Wetback. You're a wetback. Operation Wetback. Look it up. And they sent over 1 million Mexicans and Mexican Americans back to Mexico. They literally deported American citizens of Mexican descent. You see what I'm saying? So they bring you over when you need them, and they throw you out when they don't need you anymore. It's the same reason they brought Africans over here to build a country. When we got here, this wasn't even a country yet. It was a wilderness. Just a bunch of colonies and territories. You might as well have been on Mars. And they brought Africans over specifically because African farmers in West Africa had already learned how to cultivate rice. And these white folk over here couldn't even feed themselves. They couldn't feed themselves. You see? So they brought the Africans over here to cultivate the rice in places like South Carolina and Georgia in the 1700s. That African rice knowledge is why the Carolina rice economy even worked at all. And they use innovations, and it wasn't just field work we were doing either. When they tell you all black people did was pick cotton and tobacco, that's a damn lie. We literally built the White House. That White House that 47 is in right now was built by black labor. Enslaved black people were used to quarry the stone and do the carpentry and handle the heavy labor for the White House and the Capitol in the 1700s. Then you got President Trump over there destroying the East End. That was something that black hands built way back then. And records from the time show that enslaved workers being used, they were used extensively. A brother's name, Benjamin Banneker. This brother was a black mathematician and a surveyor. He helped lay out the original survey lines for the whole entire Washington, D.C. in 1791. Why did they choose a black man? Probably because he was the best at it. And he worked with a man named Andrew Ellicott. And see, here's the thing. When you look in history, there are thousands of other examples of tasks that black people did, including structures and other things that black people built. We were the blacksmiths. We put shoes on the horses. Hell, we were the shoemakers. We put shoes on the people. We handled the horses. In fact, we did all the labor. We built the buildings. White men weren't doing that work back then. Labor was considered beneath a white man. They wouldn't even do it. That was beneath them. That back then, that's like asking a white man right now to go in the field and pick some fruit or some cotton. They weren't doing it. So everything you hear about white folks building this country during slavery and immediately after is mostly just falsehoods. Even with the railroads, they brought the Asians over here, specifically the Chinese workers, to build the train tracks during the 1860s. That's how we got from coast to coast. Shout out to Oak Ridge. They brought 12,000 Chinese laborers who worked on the Transcontinental Railroad doing the most dangerous jobs, blasting mountains, laying the track at high elevation while being paid less than whites and living in dangerous conditions. Thousands of them died. White Americans didn't want to do that work. Some lazy people. They like to organize and manage. They don't want to do the work. Shit, not only did black people build and labor, we invented things that got no credit for it either. The traffic light. That's how they began to regulate traffic. You can't have an organized city without a traffic light. This was invented by a man named Garrett Morgan. What about food? You know how we had to preserve food? They had smokehouses. You ever watch some law called, Bonanza? They always had to put the food in the smokehouse, assault food and stuff. They couldn't ship food from one place to another. You couldn't get it from here to there. America was stymied. There would be no growth. But for refrigeration trucks, they were made possible by a black man named Frederick McKinley Jones. It changed how food moved across the country. A black man did it. Transportation, how to get food. You can't get the food from Georgia to New York. You can't supply, you can't even, the city can't even grow because you don't have enough food to feed these people. The farms are down south in the Midwest. It was Brother Jones that came up with refrigeration trucks. Elijah McCoy. This man created the lubrication system for steam engines. That's where the term real McCoy comes from. Now, you might not realize how important that is, but when you riding on that track and that train, every so often when the train wheels got hot, I'm gonna call it wheels, they literally have to get off the damn train and oil up the wheels so they can keep the train going. Can you imagine having, you ever rode that Greyhound bus and the bus have to stop every 15 to 20 minutes, an hour or so? You would never get out across the country. A trip that could be done if you went through could take a day, now take a week because they had to keep getting off the trains and oil the trains up. Shout out to Easy CP1RZ. You see what I'm saying? So Elijah McCoy saw a need and he created the lubrication system for the steam engines. They call it the real McCoy. That's where that comes from. It helped revolutionize and speed up transportation. You had another brother named Norbert Rayleigh, spelled Rillieaux. He revolutionized sugar refining. Pretty much everything you eat would be tasteless, okay? But for sugar and salt and things like that. The seasoning. White folk literally traveled around the world to get seasoning. Salt, pepper, all these different, they was eating a lot of bland food in Europe. But that's what he did. Then you had another brother named Granville Woods he improved the electrical rail system. And these innovations, all of that's what built America. That's what built America's wealth. And the reason that they were able to do that because it was the black men doing all the building in the first place. You understand? And most people, most of you all black folk, you never heard these names before. Vast majority of them never knew anything about that. And you got these white folks saying they came and brought religion to the world, but truthfully, all they did was use religion as an excuse to colonize other people and force them into labor and take their resources, gold and oil and diamonds and rubber. And then they impose this unfair economic system that they take your land, they take your food, and when you can't grow food anymore because they took your land, they loan you money so you can buy food and supplies from them. And then they charge you interest on what you loan. And when you can't pay it back, you forever in debt. And this system is still in place. That's the trick, the trickeration of these European colonial nations. And now they're angry because the same people they colonized and enslaved and exploited are coming to their countries, whether we're talking about Great Britain or Portugal or Spain or France or all of them colonized Africa. And now you got France is mad because they got pushed out of Africa. Mali forced the French troops out in 2022. For Burkina Faso forced them out in 2023. Niger and Chad followed by, and then by 2024 and 2025, France has been losing military bases and influence across West Africa after more than a century of control. This is why you white folk are mad. I've been talking to white folk about 20 minutes now. I'm going to tell you about yourself. You need to sit down and take your talking to. Don't be sensitive now. You're sensitive. King Leopold went to Congo. You know what this evil man did? Huh? Between 1885 and 1908. This is basically his little own backyard. King Leopold II of Belgium. This man personally controlled the Congo as his private property. It was like his backyard. He forced African people to harvest rubber. And guess what happened if they didn't meet their quota? He would cut their hands off. He would cut the hands off of their children if mom and dad didn't pick enough rubber. That's what this man would do. And display them with photographs. Soldiers had to show hands as proof that they didn't waste bullets. That's why he cut their hands off, so they didn't want to waste bullets. This man caused for between 5 to 10 million Africans to die during that period. Mind you, it's 1885. We just now getting over the sale and theft of Africans to the New World. And now you come to Africa, to the Congo, where many of our ancestors are from, especially those folk in Brazil, and you literally kill 5 to 10 million. 5 to 10 million from 1885 to 1908. That's 23 years. And this is the extent of white Europeans. This is what they went through for profit. And now you got white folk complaining about being overrun by Africans and Indians and Arabs in Europe. Most of these people wouldn't even know what the hell Europe was, Great Britain was, if it wasn't for the invasions, in Great Britain in specific, if it wasn't for the Crusades from the 11th century to the 13th century, when European armies invaded the Middle East and slaughtered Arabs and Jews in the name of Christianity, which is a Middle Eastern religion in the first place, white folks. You killing black and brown people in the name of a black man from Jerusalem named Yahshua. A Middle Eastern religion. You're not doing it in the name of Thor or Odin. You killing his people in his name. Coming down from your country. I want you to understand what you're doing. Now you're going to sit here and take your talking to. And look at India. You mad about these Indians. And yeah, we don't like the Indian scammers. Hello, yes, this is Bank of America calling you. What is it? Nah, I get that. But let's understand the scams that Europe or Britain specifically did on India. You occupied India for decades. You formally ruled it from 1858 to 1947. Britain drained India of its wealth. It destroyed its local industry. It caused famines. It killed millions of people. And now you're mad because India has millions of people in the UK, and suddenly it's a problem. It wasn't a problem when you was down there. Sound to me like the chickens coming home to roost. What we're seeing now is anger and division and panic. You see? That's what we're seeing. It's not random. It was built into the system. When you steal land, when you exploit labor, when you invent racial hierarchies and pretend it can last forever, eventually the math catches up. See, this is not chaos that we're looking at. This is what's called consequences. I don't feel sorry for white people. Your countries are being taken over because you took other people's countries around the world. And now the shoe is on the other foot and you don't like it. Now you want to throw a tantrum. The truth is, white people, I don't feel sorry for you because you opened the damn door. The saloon door swings both ways. You thought you would go ahead and take what they had, but now they turned around and came back and sitting up next to you. How many African artifacts still sit in the British Museum right now? Huh? How about those Benin bronzes looted in 1897 that everybody knows was stolen? They're still there. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Well, I'm not finished, but I have some more to add. I want to talk to my people specifically, but I want to take this opportunity to read the super chats. If you learn something, I should earn something. I'm not finished. I am not finished. I got some more to say. I got plenty more to say to wrap this thing up. But, well, you know what? Let me add this before I get it in. Well, anyway, first of all, if you learn something, I should earn something. And I know you have. I'm putting this in context for you. Much of this history just sounds like blah, blah, blah to people when they hear it. But I try to put things in context so you can have a linear understanding of what's really going on. But one more thing I want to add before I actually get to the closing, because see, there's another piece that needs to be said plainly because avoiding it hasn't made it go away. Okay? All right? And I want all the black folks to come in here. I want the blacks from the Caribbean. I want the Mino blacks to come in here from all your countries. Come on in here. I want y'all to come to the front of the room. White people, you can go to the back. I'm done with you now. Okay? But I want you blacks, whether you are African black or Caribbean black, I want all you, my foundational black, come on to the front, sit in the front, come on up front. Don't be scared. Okay? Don't be afraid. If you're afraid to come, hold your hand up and we'll send someone to guide you to the front. Shout out to Big J. If you're afraid, the Holy Spirit, we will send someone to guide you to the front. I want all the black people to come up to the front because I need y'all to hear something. And I need you to hear me clearly. This is for you. You see, one of the deepest issues between black Americans and many of the immigrant groups, whether you're talking about Africans, or Caribbean, or Afro-Latinos, it's been the lack of respect that you have for black Americans. And that disrespect didn't come from nowhere. It was learned. Shout out to Qua 5357. Now, if you learn something, I should earn something. I shouldn't have to say that. Shout out to BJ Hunter. It's the lack of respect. It's the disrespect. You see? It was learned, it was absorbed, and in many cases, it's strategic. See, to many immigrants, too many immigrants, they arrived to our country believing the stories they were told instead of listening to the people who had already been here for centuries. They believe the hype that America is fair and racism is exaggerated and black Americans are simply complaining. And because of that, what black Americans said was often dismissed and minimized, outright rejected. Black Americans said the system is hostile to black people. What did y'all tell us? Y'all told us to work harder. Black Americans said this country has a racial hierarchy. What did you say? Y'all told us it's our mindset. Black America said if you are black here, you'll be treated as black. And what did you say? That's not my experience. White people are nice. And see, that dismissal wasn't neutral. It was disrespect. You literally disrespecting and disregarding our lived experience. And in every society, when people refuse to respect the lived experience of those who came before them, they eventually learn the lesson the hard way. Somebody type hard way in the chat room. You see? What made it worse is that some immigrants didn't just ignore Black Americans, they actively distanced themselves. Flags were waved when you had your success. Accents were emphasized. That accent went hard. Yeah, man, you know what I mean? I'm every little boy, all that. It got hard. You see? It was emphasized. National identities were highlighted. But when things went wrong, when the police showed up, when the court stepped in, when the public reacted, suddenly you want to be Black. Everybody just Black now. Did you see how quickly Elon Omar went from I'm Somalian to I'm Black? And you got all these Africans over here talking about I had to learn to be Black. I'm Black now. Oh, you Black. What happened to I'm from Ghana? I'm not from Nigeria. I'm Somalian. See, here's the problem. See, that separation caused resentment. Shout out to Mike Ray. Not because Black Americans wanted division, but because respect was never mutual. See, this moment, you're Black because it's convenient right now. And this moment that we're living in right now has exposed something important. Proximity to whiteness is always temporary. It's conditional and it's fragile at best. Things that Black Americans have been warning you all about for generations are now becoming unavoidable realities for others. And that realization doesn't come through arguments, elections. Historically, it comes through experience. Now, that doesn't mean cruelty. That doesn't mean celebration. We not out here celebrating. Well, at least most of us aren't out here celebrating. Some brothers and sisters are actually celebrating. They're happy to see you catch these hands, okay? But the most important thing is recognition. The recognition, number one, the Black Americans were not lying. Recognition that the system behaves exactly as we warned you it would. Recognition that ignoring Black American voices has come at a cost, okay? And that recognition, as painful as it is, it may be, it may help you have or develop a real understanding, a real foundation of what you need for further learning, okay? This pain that you all about to deal with, this is going to create some real understanding. See, if unity ever comes, family, Black people, I'm talking to all you Black folk. I want to, because all y'all say, you don't like Africans. A few months ago, it was like, you don't like Latinos. White folk, you just don't like white people. No, I'm just speaking the truth. I'm telling you how it is. But see, I'm just going to tell you how it is at this point, at this age and place in my life. It's really nothing you can do for me. I don't want your money. I don't want to be famous. I don't want a damn thing other than to make sure that my legacy is one of a truth teller. And if that means you don't like me, I'm fine with it. But we Black people always talk about unity. And I'm going to tell you like this. If unity ever comes, it won't be built on dismissal, denial, or superiority. It won't be built because you got one group of Black ass people over here saying they're better than the other group of Black ass people. It won't be because you're Igbo and you're Yoruba. It won't be because you're from Somalia and you're from Compton. You see? It's going to be built on humility. And on finally accepting that Black Americans were telling you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth the whole time. And that's what It ends. It's not about hatred. It's not about hostility. It's about reality. And reality sooner or later catches up with everyone. Let me explain something to you. The best thing we could have done as Black Americans is delineate. Delineation. To my Black American family, foundational Black American family. Your grandma and grandpa, they call them colored or Negro. And we go back 100 years or two, freedmen. I'm talking to you right now. We need to start by telling these people the truth. When they question why Black Americans are delineating, tell them Africans and Caribbeans delineated first. The truth is they never really integrated in with us unless it benefited them. But the minute they were able to achieve an advantage by disguising themselves as freedmen, as Black American, as American Negro, that's what they did. That's when the flags came out. The flags come out. Anytime there was a success, that's when the Trinidadian flag came out. Anytime somebody outran somebody in the race, and they mom and them was from Kingston, that's when the Jamaican flag came out. Anytime some child got accepted to multiple Ivy League schools, that's when the Nigerian flag came out. Oh, but no. When there's a crime being committed, when you got a bunch of Nigerians being investigated for criminal activity and fraud, talking about he's a superintendent of some random county in Iowa. Oh, he's Black. No, where the flags at? See, when the crimes are being committed, when bad things are happening, suddenly those same people, they don't claim they're people anymore. They're no longer Jamaican. They're no longer Nigerian, Trinidadian, Bayesian, Ghanaian, South African, or anything. They just fall into the hodgepodge of Black. So Black Americans get credited with all the criminality while they get credited with all the success. And now that the delineation movement has separated that, no more scholarships, no more set-asides, no more automatic protection from Black America, and people are confused. We tried to tell y'all. We tried to tell you for decades. Blackness in America is not the same as blackness in your homeland. Here, blackness is not just some ornamental feature. And it damn sure is not just your culture or your fashion or your food or the way you talk or the music you listen to or how you wear your hat. Those are just superficial things. You all cosplay Black American and you don't even know what it is. See, blackness in America is something akin to your political and your social class. And that's the part that a lot of people refuse to hear. There's a difference between nationality and ethnicity. There's a difference between culture, nationality, and race. And America collapses all of that the moment you step off that plane or walk up across that border. You might be mixed heritage. Your mama might be white and your daddy might be Black or vice versa. You might consider yourself biracial. You might come from money. You might have an accent. You might have a last name with so many goddamn vowels in it that can't nobody in America pronounce that name. But culturally and socially, you are Black when you here in America because you're not white and you're not Chinese or Asian and you're not Latino. You are Black. White America does not see your passport. It does not see your flag. It does not care about your tribe. It don't care about your religion. They see Black. And white folks will not accept you the way you think they will. You might have Trinidadian, Ghanaian, Somalian ancestry. But after 2 or 3 generations in the United States, your children will no longer, they will not be Jamaican in the American sense. They will be treated the same way Black Americans have always been treated. It does not matter about your accent. It does not matter what tribe you came from, Igbo, Yoruba. Doesn't matter if you're Catholic, Christian, Muslim, spiritual, atheist. It don't matter if you pray to Ogun or Muhammad. When the police pull you over, you're Black. When the courts look at you, you're Black. When the job application is reviewed, you're Black. When the housing decisions are made, you're Black. You're going to be Black first and always. You can be a tribal Indian, Blackfoot, Cherokee, your Black ass is Black. And what you need to understand is Black Americans weren't being dramatic when you told you that. We weren't exaggerating. We were trying to tell you. We weren't trying to scare you. We were trying to prepare you. Because once you understand that Blackness in America is a social position, not an ornament, everything starts to make sense. And until you accept that reality, America will keep teaching you this hard lesson that y'all learn. You're Black first here in America, and that's it. That's just it. And there's no getting around that. Now, family, we got 30 super chats in here. I'm gonna turn my music on. I'm gonna read them. I appreciate all of this time. I don't know if I got some cash apps. Let me see here. Let me read the cash apps first. I'm not finished. I have some more to say before we wrap this thing up. No cash apps, but that's all good. Shout out to everybody who contributed to the super chat. The cash app is running across the bottom of the screen, though, in case you want to do this. That would be great. And again, look, family, actually, some people did contribute to the cash app. Shout out to Mr. Addison. Shout out to Patricia Hightower. Thank you so much. Roadmasters, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Miss Patricia Hightower. She gave twice. Look, let me put this music down a little bit because I want to read everybody's super chat. We got 30 super chats, man. Let's see if we can get to 40. That'll be sporty. You know what I'm saying? Y'all can help me pay for this new haircut. You see that? Yeah, baby. Did you learn something, family? I'm not finished, but did you learn something? Did you learn something? Again, these are not necessarily facts that you don't know. These are not necessarily things that you're not unaware of. I just try to put things in context for people so you can have a better understanding of what's going on in this world that we live in. You see? Tempered from a place of wisdom. You see? So you can be prepared, prepare your children. We got 31 super chats. Let's see if we can get to 35 super chats. That'd be great. And I know it's late. Okay? But if you give me 4, I'll be ready to go. Oh man, I know I cracked myself up. But anyway, let me cut it out. Shout out to my man Red Drag. He said, "Me no black." That's right, man. Shout out to Wayne Lundy. Wayne Lundy came through. Due to the vows and the creed I have with the United States Army, send them all back before we have to show them why and what makes American black solid. We fall for. Yeah, man. Yeah, we some of the toughest people on the planet. They don't know how tough Black Americans are. All that we've been through, y'all better cut it out. We are not the ones. You can't live in this society and not be put. You got folk on the internet crying, "I want to go home." You're gonna stay in Somalia. They don't have the heart of Black American man. I would never flee a country I claim to love. We all sing Black Hawk Down. We saw people, they leave people. Let me tell you something. You immigrants in this diaspora war, I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. I've already figured y'all out. You all are gonna fold like lawn chairs. All Black Americans have to do is continue doing what we're doing. Remember, and you all are gonna fold up. We are the people that brought white supremacy to its knees in the bastion, in the belly of the beast, in the bastion of white supremacy. It was Black Americans that forced this country to change. It was Black Americans that put so much pressure on South Africa and their government and divestment that they had to you know, get rid of apartheid. Black Americans that did that. And we did it while being surrounded. We don't do it with the numbers. Okay? We always talk about the Haitian Revolution, and shout out to the Haitian Revolution and the people in Haiti, but y'all had 700,000, and it wasn't 700,000 white folks. I think it was 40, 50, maybe 100,000 at best. And yeah, you won that revolution. Okay? But you didn't win the war. Look at Haiti now. See, it's not just about winning, you got to be strategic. And that's one thing we also have. We got stick-to-itness, we have strategy, and we don't rest on our laurels. Okay? And when it's time to come together, we do on some blackness. And that's the difference between us. Black folk keep the pressure. Black Americans keep the pressure on these immigrants. They will fold. Remember, these are the same people that fled when it got hot. And it'll be good for them. They need to. They need to be folded up into the greater blackness of Black America. And we need to utilize them for their resources and reteach them and help them unlearn some of these racist tropes that they've been taught about Black Americans. They are going to learn today. You are not going to be able to stand up under the withering might of foundational Black Americans. This is what we do. We bring people to heal. We brought white people to heal. You don't think we're going to be able to bring you other Africans and Caribbeans to heal? You're going to fall in line like the rest of them. We're going to be like drill sergeants out here. We're going to let you get your ass whooped by the enemy, and you're going to come back with your tail tucked between your legs, what's left of y'all, because some of y'all going to get deported. You're going to have your families separated. You're going to have your men taken, people going to jail, your houses took, your wealth being snatched, and then you'll be like, damn, I guess they were right. Yeah, they are going to fold up. You're not built like us. And I'm just telling you that right now. It's the reason why we're still here. Shout out to Wayne Lundy. Man, my family unit is in a 2026 and it's still 2025. We're coming at your theft. Thank you, Ilmar, for this. Shout out to you, DT YW. I'm just call you D. Thanks for the super sticker. Tyrone T 44015. Thank you so much for the super sticker. Black Sand 68. Thank you for the 199. You said they'll be crying for help in about 2 months. Oh man, they got 3 more years of this. I don't think they can't handle the fade. They're not gonna be able to handle this federal fade that's coming through. If they are here or not on like it's always been, better off send the FBI all that. Thank you so much. Faquan, thank you for the super sticker. Wayne Lundy, thank you for the memberships. Oh man, gift of 10. That's what's up, man. Thank you for the memberships, man. Wayne Lundy, thank you for gifting those people membership. That is awesome. Big shout out to you. Let me see if I get the hand clap popping. Thank you so much, Wayne Lundy. Thank you, family. Derek McGlynn, welcome to the membership. Thank you, family. I appreciate you. Tyrone Jones. It was an Afro Puerto Rican kid in New York with the incident with the police. Was that it? That makes sense. Thank you so much, Torn, for clarifying that. Faquan, thank you for the $5 super sticker. RIHTYs 1208, thank you. I very much appreciate your love, honor, and works for us. Thank you so much. And our people, I'm gonna keep doing what I do, man. We got 32 super chats, man. Let's get to 35. That's 3 more. Let's see if we can do that before I finish. Tobias Judas, thank you, FBA all day. Faquan, thank you for the super sticker. Oak Ridge, thank you for the $20 super sticker. Easy, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. Big J, he said, keep cooking, fam. Not only are these generation of whites were lied to about us, but our current FBAs need to understand the brilliant and great people that came from. They do, they really do. And if we did, they wouldn't go so hard to hide our history. We wouldn't. It would be less people questioning why we're so successful and disbelief when we tell them, especially now. Shout out to Qua 5357. Thank you for the super sticker. B Hunter, thank you so much for the super sticker. Also, Ibram, thank you for the super sticker. Sharon, advance your life. I always learn something and prefer to sit at the front. Hey, there you go, baby. You're welcome to come sit at the front. Come on up at the front. Sit up and hang out with Uncle D. Mike Ray, their understanding of FBA has to start in their homeland, not here. They better do something. They're gonna learn the hard way. A hard head makes a soft behind. Ain't that the truth? $10 super sticker. Thank you for Renee. Thank you, Renee Wainsley. Also, Miss Mimi. Thank you for the $5 FBA. Thank you so much, baby. Where is the love? 7041. Thank you. Said great broadcast. B Hunter said thanks again for the real history. Like, yeah, man, I'm gonna give it to you like it's supposed to be given. I'm gonna give it to you. You can handle it and digest it and take it and think about it and process it and incorporate it and put it to good use. Now we got 32 super stickers. I want to thank everybody for contributing to the super chat, and I want to thank everybody for contributing to the Cash App. I'm gonna go ahead and talk y'all on down. All right. I hope you all have enjoyed this broadcast. I got some more to say. Don't go nowhere. All right. I want you all to hang out and listen to me. I have something else to say. We got 32 super chats. Again, you don't owe me anything. If you didn't learn something, I don't need to earn nothing. You understand me? If you earn, I shouldn't earn. Okay. I'm not out here begging. I'm working. If you like what you heard, if I sparked you into believing something or understanding something that you otherwise did not believe or understand, then you learned something and I should earn something. That's only fair. Fair exchange, no robbery. But nevertheless, I appreciate everybody who did learn something, even if you didn't contribute. That's cool too, baby. We about teaching up in here. Now, here's the thing. If the Somalians have been 100% aligned with Black Americans for the last 40 or 50 years since these African folks start coming here, I'm going to tell you absolutely with no hesitation and no equivocation that Black Americans across the country, okay, we would have shut down Donald Trump's overt racism directed at the Wisconsin population of Somalis. That's what we do. We would shut it down like we always have. We'd have been right there with you. We'd have George Floyded the whole thing. You understand me? Because we've delineated. Okay? That's what we've done. Y'all wanted to delineate first, but now this is our opportunity to delineate. And that goes for the Caribbeans and that goes for the Africans too. They're sending Haitians home, they're sending Jamaicans home, they're sending everybody home. And see, the fact that Black Americans and Caribbeans are now going to, well, let me say it like this, you Black Africans and Caribbeans, you're going to have to suffer the consequences. You're going to have to suffer the consequences of being Black in America. Whether you consider yourself Black or not, you are Black in America and you're going to suffer the consequences. And I think it is a good thing. And this is going to be controversial. It's a good thing that your families are being separated. It's a good thing that you're being incarcerated without due process. It's a good thing that these white folk and all these ICE agents of all colors are whooping y'all butt in the middle of the street and snatching you out of your cars. It's a good thing that you are having to deal with that right now. A little taste of what we've had to deal with for the past 406 years in this country. It's a good thing. Somebody type good thing in the chat room. Let the church say good thing. And let me explain myself. I introduce you all to my grandmother back there. There's a beautiful photograph of Myra Mary King Williams. She used to say to me, and some of y'all had the same sayings coming to you. She used to tell me, I can show them better than I can tell them. Some powerful words. She was a woman from Mississippi, born and raised. She picked cotton until she was 60 years old. And then she moved to Los Angeles, East Side, Los Angeles, California, off Long Beach Boulevard, over there by the Bottoms. That's where I grew up. She came during the second migration to escape Jim Crow. She took my mama and my Uncle Slim, who was the baby of the family, and they moved to the East Side. And those are my first memories. She said, I can show them better than I can tell them. And my grandma only had the 8th grade education. But she had more sense than a lot of folks walking around with degrees right now. Like many of you have a lot of folks, and some of these folks with degrees out here. Now, what she meant by that, and I'm gonna break this down. What she meant by that is that you have to let people go through things before they truly understand. Because Black Americans have been trying to tell Africans and Caribbeans and Latinos and anybody else that have listened for decades, this is what America is really about. You're not Jamaican here. You're not Nigerian here. You're not El Salvadorian here. You're not Mexican here. You're not Trinidadian here. It don't matter what you say you are. If you look black, you're black. If they think you're black, you're black. You can be from Australia. You can be from somewhere deep in the Pacific. You're black. And in America, in the United States of America, you're going to be treated by your skin color first. Now, here's another thing you need to understand. My grandmother's wisdom didn't just come from her own personal experience. It came from her understanding of the Lord. Can I get an amen? One thing about Black Americans have always had a deep abiding faith in God. Some may say it's misguided. Some may say we praying by the wrong name, but we know there is a God. Through slavery, through Jim Crow, through segregation, through the terror that we have had to endure, Black people have held on to our faith. And one of the biblical stories that we know very well reminds me of this situation, and that's the book of Jonah. I'm going to give it to you in a way you probably never heard it before. The Lord told Jonah to go deliver a message to the people of Nineveh. Do y'all remember this story? And it wasn't going to be an easy message to deliver. It was a warning. And it was meant to save them from judgment that was coming upon them. And Jonah didn't want to do it. He was afraid of those people. He didn't want to deal with them. Ooh, them some hard people. Them Ninevehs, ooh, them Ninevehs, ooh. I don't want to go over there. He didn't want to face the consequences of delivering the message that the Lord gave him to deliver. So instead, Jonah decided he was going to do what he wanted to do. Instead of doing what the Lord told him to do, he tried to go somewhere else. And what happened? Jonah didn't stop the message. He just got in the way of it. Somebody type in the way. Let me say that again. Jonah didn't stop the message. He did not stop what the Lord was going to do. He just got in the way. So God caused a great storm, and Jonah was thrown overboard, and Jonah ended up in the belly of a great fish. What does that symbolize? It symbolized him suffering. He had to sit in the dark. He had to sit in discomfort. He had to sit in isolation until finally, after 3 days and 3 nights, Jonah prayed and he repented and humbled himself. And only then was he delivered and sent back to complete what he had been instructed to do in the first place. And that's Jonah chapter 1 through 3. Now, some of you all may not understand, well, where is he going with that? This dude is a lawyer. Now he up here preaching from the Bible. Hey, man, I'm a Southern Baptist born and raised. But so the lesson is clear because I got to put this down where the cows can eat it, not insulting anybody that is big as a cow or eats cow. But look, let me lay it down where you can eat it. When the Lord is trying to teach a group of people a lesson, even a harsh lesson, don't get in the way of that. Because see, when Jonah got in the way, he suffered too. Black people. Black people understand spirituality before they could even read the Bible. And our spirit is telling us collectively to rest. And if we translate that in spiritual terms, what the Lord has put upon us, what our God, the one who guided us through these 400 years of turmoil, is telling us, don't get in the middle of what's happening between these people and and the tyrant, the Pharaoh, that I've assigned to teach them this lesson. So that means African immigrants, Caribbean immigrants, Latino immigrants, Asian immigrants. Your proximity to whiteness, you thought that meant safety. You wanted to align yourself with the devil. And now you're being suffered. Now you're being punished. And y'all need to go through this alone. And if we as Black Americans step our black behinds in and stop a lesson that God is allowing to happen, the wrath of the Most High may turn toward us instead. So we're going to sit this one out. Somebody type amen in the chat room. Let the church say amen. Can I get a hallelujah? We're going to sit this one out. Hallelujah. Because see, here's the thing, family. Suffering sometimes leads to instruction. And sometimes pain is education. Sometimes the belly of the beast is where understanding is born. So we're going to mind our foundational Black American business. We're going to stay in our lane so we don't get hit. And we're going to let God do what God is going to do. So now, you all are being given the opportunity to experience what Black Americans have had to deal with for centuries. And when you come out the other side, if you come out the other side, after the fear, after the pressure, after the trauma, you will understand why our culture is the way it is. See, some of you all don't understand why Black American women are so aggressive and loud. Like Ida B. Wells, who literally stood up. She was more popular than Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, and Michael Jackson at the time of her popularity, right at the end of the 19th century. Ida B. Wells. Look it up. She stood up for us, for Black men, actually. When they were trying to pathologize Black men and say all we wanted to do was try to go jump on white women and whatnot, she stood up for us, a Black woman. They called her loud and aggressive and boisterous. All the same things they said about Black women, but you had to be, because the Black man couldn't stand up because they were unaliving us left and right. So the sisters stood up because they had to. Now, I'm not saying there's some women that can confuse strong with belligerent, but sometimes you got to be belligerent. Sometimes you have to be obnoxious. And for Black men, sometimes you got to be violent if you're a Black American man. Look at the Deacons of Defense. Look at the Black Panther Party. Look at all those unsung Black men who stood up and fought back when those white men were riding across the Sound and the countryside in the South, tearing and destroying and sexually assaulting Black women and girls. You had to stand up. You had to put it on the line. You don't like the fact that Black men break laws? The law never worked for Black men in this country. The law never worked for Black women in this country. You wonder why we don't respect the law sometimes and why we resist arrest? Because the minute they put you in the handcuffs, they put you in the cell, 3 or 4 hours later, a lynch mob comes and takes you out of there and hangs you from a tree. Not before they shoot you, not before they cut you, not before they burn you, not before they begin to cut parts off your body and put them in the goddamn corner store for other people to sell. They had postcards about it. This is all in our collective memory. And now you all are being presented with an opportunity to experience something like that trauma. Not 400 years, maybe 4 years. But after that, I think you may have a semblance of understanding of why our culture that you say we don't have it is a survival culture. It is a culture designed that we can live on to the next generation. You understand why our culture is built around surviving as a tiny minority surrounded by hostility. Why we eat the way we do. Why we eat what we eat. Why we talk the way we do in code. Why we are hypersensitive to racism. Why we shut it down the moment we see it. Because see, you all let racism stand. That's what you've been doing the last 10 years, 15, 20 years. And now guess what? Now you got white folk thinking it's okay to just call people the N-word in public. They're all on the podcast, they're on TV. We didn't have that when we were in charge. But that's what's happening right now. Since you all took over the reins, you got the president doing it. You got people like Nick Fuentes doing it. You got random people on the street doing it. Overt racism is alive and well again, and it's everywhere. It is omnipresent. And see, now you begin to understand why Black Americans have always been ultra vigilant, because we know where this leads. We told y'all, don't give them an inch there, take a mile. If you see them being racist or saying something, you got to call it out right there. You got to be vigilant, because if you let these white people get a roll, they're going to roll right over you. And now you see it happening. You got the president of the United States telling this Black woman who is sitting on Congress that she needed to take a Black ass back to Somalia. Her whole country stinks and is garbage. All he had to do was sit up there and call a monkey with a burqa on. This is what happens when you say Black people just work harder. You're a victim. You just making this racism up. We tried to tell you, you didn't listen. Now you're going to have to learn the hard way. And guess what happened? They thought Black people were going to run out front. But Black Americans said, we're going to sit down. Somebody typed sit down in the chat room. We decided collectively to sit down. We didn't pass out a memo. We didn't talk about this last year at Essence Festival. We didn't get together at Big Mama's house to talk to her. The Spirit literally laid on us and said, we are going to sit down. Woo. You all got racial reins of the country now. You have an opportunity to steer it in the right direction. And guess what you did? You failed. You all told us racism didn't exist. You all told us slavery was a long time ago. You all told us we were playing the victims. Meanwhile, within our lifetimes, we experienced Jim Crow. Within our lifetimes, we experienced the prison industrial complex. Within our lifetimes, we experienced the crack epidemic, drugs pumped into our communities by the CIA to destroy the Black family, which had been our power base during the civil rights movement. And you telling us we playing victims? You telling us we making this up? We gonna sit down. Black Americans know what this country does. We've seen it, we felt it, we lived it. It's been Black Americans who held the racial line for centuries. We forced this country to improve. We pushed it to closer to justice than any other group. The Native Americans couldn't do it. White women couldn't do it. Nobody could do it. Latinos couldn't do it. We did it. And you all came in and benefited from that without understanding the cost of maintaining that line. And now you're learning the cost. And now you're going to suffer. But see, it's a good thing. It's a good thing, because when it's over, after you've suffered, after you carry your scars, after your families have been separated, after your husbands and wives have been incarcerated and deported, after the wealth has been stripped, just like what happened to us after Reconstruction, just like what happened to us after the crack epidemic came through and sent many of our family members to prison, and we lost houses and wealth because folk couldn't work no more. After all the pain, after suffering, then you'll understand. Then we can sit at the table as Black people, not as Somalians, not as Ghanaians, not as Nigerians, not as Trinidadians, not as Jamaicans, not as Bajans, not as Congolese, not as Senegalese, but we can sit at a table as Black people, not as Muslim, not as Catholic, not as Pan-Africanist, hell, not as FBA, not as indigenous Black Americans, not as ADOS. We can sit at the table as Black people and have a real conversation. So this is good for you. Shout out to CJ Marsh. Now, I ain't gonna be here all night, but I want to talk to my brothers and sisters, Black American people. Brothers, listen to me. I want you to hear me. I know you. I know how y'all are. You got the biggest heart. You're wonderful people. I know seeing other people of color, especially Black people, even though they don't know they Black. I know seeing them suffer makes it is the word. What do they say down here? It makes you feel a certain type of way. It makes you want to reach out. That's because that's us. That's the God in us. That's that divine wisdom and compassion within Black people. That's who we are. That's why we haven't turned on white folk. All the dirt that they've done over there. They scared to death that we will, but that ain't us. That's not who we are. We are people of God. And you doing everything you can to hold yourself back. You're doing everything you can to stay on the sidelines. You stop watching the news. Your heart wants to help. And you know it's the right thing to do. You've been doing it for centuries, especially you Black women. Sit your ass down and put your feet up and get a pedicure. Let them people deal with it on their own. But see, here's the thing, and I want you to understand the end is more important. If you want true unity amongst Black people, if you want a real Wakanda or whatever, if you want to understand where real strength comes from, heed my words. Let these people suffer. Let them go through what we had to go through because they don't understand and they don't respect Black Americans. If you come save them right now, they'll go right back to how they were. Because they still don't believe what we say holds validity. They believe the hype. They believe the lie that America is open to all and colorless. And they believe we exaggerated. They really believe that we made all this up. They think racism is just a story we keep telling. So I'm telling you right now, sit down. Put your feet up. In fact, build. Because see, here's what I know and what you all know. The minute white folk take their foot off our necks, we build. And they know this. They've always known this. And in the words of a great American poet, it takes a nation of millions to hold us back. Shout out to Chuck D, Public Enemy. And they were telling the truth. Look at history. During Reconstruction, this is the time period after the Civil War ended. Slavery, the war started about 1860, 1861. It was over by 1865. Between 1865 and 1877, that was a period called Reconstruction. They had the Union troops, the Northern troops were still in the South. And what did that do? It made sure those Confederates couldn't do the dirt to us that they wanted to do. You had armed troops everywhere. They couldn't do the dirt they wanted to do. And guess what happened? When we were left alone, we flourished. We flourished. We did great. You want to know when America was great? Between 1865 and 1877, America was great for Black people. We had 30 members of Congress, all Black American. We had 2 United States senators, Hiram Rhodes Revels, who took the seat in February 1870, and Blanche Kelso Bruce, who took it in 1875. We had a governor, a Black governor of Louisiana, racist ass Louisiana. We had a Black governor of Louisiana. His name was Governor Pinckney Benton Stewart Pinchback. They had a Pinchback Hall. I didn't know what the hell Pinchback Hall was back at Grambling State University. Pinchback Hall. It was a dirty pit. It was dirty as hell. It was like a skyscraper. They had a bunch of dudes from Chicago in it. It was right next to the football dorm. It was all kind of stuff. It looked like the projects. But nevertheless, Pinchback Hall in Louisiana. Pinchback, Governor Pinchback. The first black governor in U.S. history. This is damn near 200 years ago, family. This is what we were doing. Educated men, landowners. And see, across the South, you had more than 1,500 black men who held elected office supported by their black women and wives, lawmakers, sheriffs, judges, mayors, county officials. And what do we do with it? It wasn't just political. We built systems, we built institutions, we had public schools that we built from scratch, from nothing. 12 years. This is all it took, 12 years. We built churches, we built businesses, we built banks and mutual aid networks. 12 years. We acquired land, we acquired farms, some of the same land that we worked on. We now own the land that we were once slaves on. And we had the Union troops right there. We literally created infrastructure. There was a general. Any of y'all familiar with Howard University? Shout out to HU. It's named after General Oliver Otis Howard. He was appointed to be the head of the Freedmen's Bureau. And this man was literally distributing land and resources to formerly enslaved black people across the South. The blueprint existed. We were doing great in 12 years. This is what we did, fresh out of slavery, right? Shout out to blacks. We supposed to be these ignorant know-nothings, right? They were forced to leave us alone because those Union troops were down there and they were unalive. And it wasn't perfect. They were still getting their licks in. And I'm talking about the KKK and all. They were still getting their licks in. But despite that, they couldn't institutionalize their racism. So basically, they had to leave us alone. And then the deal came. 1877, 12 years after the end of the Civil War, President Rutherford B. Hayes, a man who we helped elect, he came up with a deal with the Southern Democrats called the Compromise of 1877. And in exchange for them, because it was a big to-do, like who's the winner, who's not the winner. You had the South down there doing all sorts of stuff, holding, fraud voting, keeping black folk from voting. It was bad. And so him being the president was going to be questionable. So they had to determine, well, look, you're the president if you want it, but we know these black people elected you, but you know what? If you want to secure it, you're going to have to take these federal troops out the South. And in order to secure his presidency, he did that. And it ended Reconstruction. And it left black Americans exposed to the wrath of these white folk who were angry. And they instituted Jim Crow. They instituted lynching. They had nearly 3,500 black people lynched in that 100-year time period. That's 2 a week. And when I say lynch, it wasn't just they put them up on a rope. Okay? They did all sorts of horrible things to them. There's this book called Black AF History. Y'all need to read it. I bought it twice. But it was that particular decision that destroyed the nation that we built, the black nation. But see, here's what they never planned for. And I'm gonna wrap this up. I know I've been here for a minute, but I got something to say. They never planned on it. In that 12-year time period, and I'm gonna say 12 to 15 years, because technically Reconstruction just started as soon as the Northern generals began to take over land. They began to do Reconstruction practices. So it was really from about 12 to 15 years. Short time period. That carried what we built and that our ancestors built in that 12 to 15 year time period. It carried us through Jim Crow into the civil rights movement. We already had, when we had educated leadership. We had historically black colleges and universities. We had church networks. We had organizations. We had a political memory. That's what we did. Now fast forward to today. Despite slavery, despite Jim Crow, despite mass incarceration, despite redlining, despite the drugs being flooded in our black communities, despite the constant sabotage we have to do. Look at us now. Today, black Americans, we're succeeding tremendously despite what you hear people saying, black men and black women. You got 1.7 million black millionaires in the United States. We have more black millionaires in the United States than they have in all of Africa. Think about that. It's like 2 billion Africans and 45 million black folk in America. And we have 1.7 million. We got more millionaires in the United States than all of Africa has. You understand that? Think about that. Black entrepreneurship is rising, especially among black women. The incarceration rate of black men has declined tremendously since 2006 when it was at its highest. It's so bad that the prisons are now suing the states because they promised them more bodies and brothers ain't committing crimes like that. College enrollment is up. And the completion among black students is trending upward compared to prior generations. Our wealth is building. We're doing well. We've done our time. We've been through the crucible. We paid our dues. And here's the part nobody wants to admit. It's not that we're going to be next. We've always been in the crosshairs of white supremacy. I just want y'all to think back to a few months ago. In the midst of invading all these countries, all these towns and cities, white folks said, well, we got black fatigue. You over here, you focus on the Latinos and you automatically pivot to black fatigue. So we're always in the crosshairs. Never forget that. But it's important for you all to understand why. And if you don't hear nothing else I said tonight, it's because of our advancement. It's because, like doing Reconstruction, our success and us doing well, even having a black man like myself speaking to you here tonight, it threatens the concepts of white supremacy. Not because of violence, not because of crime, but because our success forces them to look inward. See, as long as they can look down on us, they feel better about themselves. But the minute they have to look up at us while still trying to talk down, it eats them alive. That's jealousy on a massive scale. So while their energy is focused on Africans and Caribbeans and Mexicans and Latinos and other immigrants, other indigenous people around the world, they don't have the bandwidth to deal with us right now. And that makes this our moment. We must build. I know you all want to help others. I know that's your instinct, but right now, we need to protect what's ours first, and we need to be prepared to move forward. We need to secure our ground. We need to use this moment. We need to continue building. Look what our ancestors did in 15 years. And it's important that we do this because history shows this plainly. When they leave us alone, we rise, and we always have. Now, I want to thank everybody for being here tonight. I know we started early. I know this has been long-winded, but I appreciate everybody, and I appreciate everybody who came through with the additional super chats and cash apps. I love you all. I appreciate you all. I'm a very compassionate and loving person. I empathize with people's pain. And I hope you take from this broadcast tonight that I don't say anything to you in malice. I'm simply being an advocate for my people. I'm simply being an advocate for Black American people, or what you call foundational Black Americans, or the American Negro, or just colored people. And my people are telling you how they feel and why they feel this way. This is about respect. And many of you folk in the Somali community, along with the greater African community, you've shown us so much disrespect and so much disregard. And unfortunately, you got to learn the hard way. They got an old saying in the Black community, and I'm going to share it with you. They say a hard head makes a soft butt. And what that means is if you don't learn from people trying to tell you, you're going to learn the hard way. Nevertheless, I hope all the people in the Black community, all the Latinos, I hope you all, even the white people, I hope you take what I say It's coming from a place of love because I'm a human being and I'm a compassionate human being. And I truly love you all. I love humanity and I want to see us do well as a collective group, but we can't continue doing what we're doing. There's a horrible cycle of human beings building things up and other human beings tearing things down. But what we can't do is keep oppressing each other and keep destroying each other and separating ourselves based on superficial things. Martin Luther King, the good brother, Dr. Martin Luther King, who I want to mention on this December 4th, 1925, my ice cold brother of Alpha Phi Alpha. Shout out to the great brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha who may be watching this broadcast. Shout out to all you brothers. What are we at? That's almost 100 and almost 120 years. Shout out to the brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha. Nevertheless, the brother said a man should be judged by the content of his character, not the color of his skin. And so too should womanhood. Nevertheless, I hope we can get to that point. I hope this broadcast helps you all learn. I appreciate everybody. Thank you so much. And I graciously appreciate everybody's time and energy. And as I always said this time, this is Uncle D, and I'm out.
Dennis Berlin Podcast. Hit the like button, subscribe.